You don't exist. Take a perk and a talk of that shit. Money swallowed like sis. Dead up perfect in the kid. Got a billion who sang on my head. Look up better put on the road I just spent. I know we got $1 million. The devil that shit ain't not cheaper again.
Hello and welcome back, fellow anime lovers, to MangaMuse. I am delighted to have you join us once again in the world of fanfiction and fantasy. This is the 11th part of What If Naruto Enters Helluvaboss. Special note, this fanfic is written in a masterpiece of Bones Boy 15 on FANFICTIONnet. Do check and support the author too. Now smash the like, share and subscribe button for more. Also press the bell icon so that you never miss such great parts. Thanks for the introduction. Now let's dive into the world. I had a nightmare. That's all. Ugh, that F sucks. She sympathized. Nightmares were the bane of a sin's existence. For all their power, they couldn't do anything when their minds turned on themselves. It was a rare occurrence for them, but it happened every other few millennia. B's last one focused on dancing elephants made of honey. For some reason, she rested her chin on his head between his adorable big ears and closed her eyes. Want to talk about it? It sounds stupid, but it really effing helps. I guess you know my this? His hand tapped against the big patch of cream-colored fur that took up most of the left side of his chest. In Cerberus words, it looked like F. Zeus stabbed a lightning bolt into him. You had a nightmare about storms? Though more common in the rings of lust and envy, gluttony got its occasional storm, but there hadn't been a big one in a few years. Maybe the last time baby bro went to sleep? No. I know how I got it. B's eyes cracked open and she tightened her arms around him when he whined. She rubbed the bottom of her jaw along the top of his head and her wings buzzed. Salty and bitter vibes started to fill her room and B found herself suddenly on damage control as her baby bro turned around to cling to her as he started to cry. He was my best friend. I just wanted to help. I wanted to help him and he stabbed me. Stab? Someone was about to end up a dead moth-aff in the most gruesome way she can manage. Her baby bro started to hitch his breath and sniffle, as if he was trying to make himself stop crying. No, SHT, no, he always did this. B just wanted him to open up. Bottling all of those negative vibes couldn't be doing him any favors. Baby bro? Hey, no, come on, let it out. B needed a name. A name to put at the F-top of her new list, people that wronged her baby bro. A name to give to every F-hound at her disposal before she sent them out to find the owner of it. A name to give to Cerberus to ensure this F soon-to-be-dead owner never got the F out of hell until B got her claws buried in their chest and drenched with their BLD. Alas, baby bro locked up again and cut himself off from the tears. God F Diamenet. Doesn't matter, probably dead already, just like Gigi and everyone else. Baby bro huffed and sniffed as his tears became silent. Diamenet, if he'd just talked to her. B swallowed back the growl she wanted to let out and nuzzled into his head. He whimpered around his tears, but nuzzled back. Sorry, BS, it's a stupid reason to wake Y up. No. B tilted his head up and looked him in his watery blue eyes. No, baby bro, you never apologize for this. You can tell me anything, okay? Anything. Okay. He sniffed again and rested his head on her shoulder. So soft that she had to strain her ears to hear it. He uttered 2 words that made her black heart swell. Thanks, B. Anytime, baby bro. B put her lips to the crown of his head and hugged him tight. Anytime. What do you mean you got stabbed? B snarled as she darted across her workroom, her hellphone held to her ear as she stirred and mixed various cauldrons of Beelzejuice. After the most anxiety-inducing night she'd had in her 10,000 and counting years in hell, the night after that was wonderful. She had a good, if brief by her standards, F session with her boyfriend while Pretty Pup streamed from the night before played on the big screen in their room. Not only was it super hot to see Pretty Pup take her baby bro's thick PP, she was pretty sure he was tied with Tex in terms of size, save for the knots. Baby bro's knot was easily an inch wider. SHT. Pretty Pup was such a lucky little beach, but she confirmed that Vortex had a few kinks he was open to exploring, and cuckolding was one of them. After a 2-hour-long discussion during lunch, an agreement was reached. If she could get baby bro and Pretty Pup to agree to it, and after Vortex had a one-on-one talk alone with baby bro, B could get her THRSM. In turn, Vortex would get some more chances to explore other kinks with her, and VERYYYY pushed for that, since she noticed the normally perky succubus had some dour vibes lately, despite the super successful concert she held. As she expected, her boyfriend didn't oppose it too much, such as scat, more extreme variants of BDSM, water sports, and vor. Vor was, ironically, not one of B's favorite pastimes. She wasn't the sin of F-regurgitation, after all, and to her, vor was only really considered successful if the recipient could return to gush about it, but regardless, they revisited vor the night of the Harvest Festival. Consequently, Vortex was taking the day to recover from the hours he spent jerking off in her endless gullet. There was still the occasional dribble of his cum that came out with every other burp, and she was left to do whatever she wanted. Nothing new, but that left her with the entire day to await baby bro's return from his stupid final stipulation. She was so glad Pretty Pup backed her on the staycation. She wanted him to go on and keep him at home until after his birthday party at the latest. Rather than sit around on her butt, eating her feelings, B decided to get started on her next variant of Beelzejuice. Then he called to tell her he was going to get home once he got his stitches out at St. N's. What stitches? Oh, just the ones he got from when the F-assassin imp. That was after Lucifer's pee-pee-sucking Beach's son stabbed him. B, I'm fine. Stabbed? Your argument is invalid. I can't deal with you right now. B growled and rubbed her face with one hand. Just put Pretty Pup on the phone so I can talk to someone with an iota of a brain cell. F you. Soon. B bit back the word and stopped stirring to cross her arms. Baby bro, I'm scatterbrained, not stupid. Put her on the phone. She's not here. Bullshit, baby bro, you got stabbed. Loon's got a job. B, do you even know what that is? Yeah, taking care of your stupid butt. It's full-time and very exhausting. I would know, it used to be mine. B ignored the slight pang of negative vibes that admitting that brought up from the back of her mind. He was her baby bro. Hers. She should be taking care of him and cuddling him and feeding him royal honey to help him recover, and smirked into the call. Maybe I should start giving her some compensation. Do not pay my girlfriend to be my girlfriend. B, do you even know what that sounds like? I don't know, PRSTTN maybe? She snorted and then swallowed when baby bro growled over the line. F. When did his growls start to affect her like Texas or Cerberus did? She felt her wings flutter and rubbed her stirring stick against her groin. The implications there are not okay. Get over it. B huffed. Now seriously, put her on. She's at work. Really? You may message her. B put him on speaker as she opened her Voxtagram seriously. Mammon was a month away from getting his F-butt kicked if he didn't fork over the cash to buy their app back from that stupid F-sinner, and looked at Pretty Pup's account. Ah, her posted sex stream was still getting hits. There were a lot of angry jealous beaches bombing it. Oh, okay, location posted recently Pride Ring, Hotheads Cafe. 5 minutes ago SHT, baby bro was telling the truth. You don't have to do that. Oh, hello? What's this? And why shouldn't I? B asked. One of the cauldrons turned from blue to gold, and she zipped over to it to get a taste. A quick slurp, yep, the same as every other Beelzejuice combo she makes. She needed Vortex to wake up for a second opinion interrupted before she went back to stirring other mixes. It's not like you didn't tell her you got stabbed. Wait, if you got stabbed yesterday, why isn't she with you? She was dealing with something involving her dad. I guess you really freaked him out on Friday night. But we appreciate that you didn't kill him. He F better. The longer B had to interact with the shithead imp that was Blitzo, the F more she wanted to take his guardianship away from him. I didn't want to bother her while she dealt with that. Dude's got like a hate beaner for me or something. Besides, I'm fine. So, let me see if I understand. B rubbed her face. Because I justifiably intimidated that F imp? It's really not that justifiable. Big sister writes, it's justifiable, she affirmed and smirked at his annoyed huff. Anyway, because of that, Pretty Pup had to, what? Spend the day babysitting him instead of you? What? Is he more prone to getting stabbed than you are? B, you met him twice. You tell me. SHT, he had her there. However, she'd been at this longer than he had, and she was the big sister. This would be her win. So, what you're saying is, yes, Pretty Pup doesn't know you got stabbed. Do not tell Luna. Nope, I'm telling her. The more she got one of them on her side, the easier it'd be to convince the other to have a THRSM. B. Baby bro, you got stabbed. Just tell her so she can make sure you get here without getting involved in another turf war or something. B threw two of her hands up. That only happened one time, and that was mostly Serb's fault, anyway. The fact that it happened at all is the point, B growled. She had forgot about that day until right now. That was the last time she let her at the time three-headed boyfriend take her baby bro with him on a patrol. Not that it stopped baby bro from getting into any trouble, but it did keep the body count from rising any further in Beasleyhaven. F it, I'm telling her. You can't keep this sort of thing a secret, baby bro. Got him it, B. Baby bro got stabbed by an assassin yesterday. He's at St. Anne's getting stitches. What? He told me he was fine. SHT God F damn it, B. You should have told her. B shrugged unapologetically. Well, I'm going to kill him. Might need somewhere to hide after. My door's always open. Go ahead and bring the corpse with you, she sent with a smile. And it's done. Enjoy dealing with it. Rotting zombie Christ, what did you tell her? I told her what happened. B deadpanned as she closed the app and went back to the call. I loathe you. Love you, too, baby bro. See you soon. Damn it, doof, do not leave until I get there. A certain hellhound set her hellphone on her desk and rubbed her face with a growl. One day, Luna just wanted one day where she didn't end up on the verge of having a aneurysm. This past week was two stressful sporadic sexcapades notwithstanding, and yesterday was supposed to have been a godsend. Sure, Blitzo got wasted after B stopped by his seat to threaten him and had to spend most of it at home hungover, but he mostly slept and puked all day, which left her free to alternate between her favorite pastimes, scroll on her phone and mess around with magic. She should have known better, but as she hated the idea of leaving Wrath while her incident-prone boyfriend was working, she didn't trust her adoptive father to not kill himself while he was in such a low state. With assurance from her boyfriend that he had clones disguised all over Wrath and that he wouldn't be in any danger, unlike he had been over the past week, she took her adoptive father home to take care of him. Blitzo had gotten so drunk he was flirting with a light post, whereas Naruto had essentially shown his might to the entirety of hell, which was still so hot when she thought about it, so she trusted her boyfriend's judgment. That was her mistake, apparently, because somehow her boyfriend managed to go and get himself stabbed in the gut. Oh, and it wasn't just that. He got stabbed deep enough that it with his was it called an appendix? She thought that was part of a book. Whatever, an organ that got fixed in a short surgery and ended with him getting stitches. He got surgery twice in the span of 2 days. The was with her boyfriend's shitty luck. With a growl, she got up from her desk and barged into IMP's founder's office. Blitzo, I'm heading out and I'm taking the next month off. Wah Looney, you can't take that much time off. I'm using some vacation time. Luna deadpanned. Wah, we just got back from that was a paid work week. Yep. Does it involve that fuck? It involves my boyfriend, yes. Did he date? Luna growled and Blitzo held his hands up. Excuse me for hoping. Fine, just give me the magic book and I'll hold on to it, she growled again. He put his hands on the desk and hopped onto his chair. Looney, I appreciate how dedicated you are to protecting it, but our business. I can open the portals remotely with the grimoire, dumbass. Since when? 2 weeks ago, when you met B for the first time. Was it wrong that she enjoyed watching Blitzo shiver reflexively? Probably. Meh. Luna wasn't a good person. She was a hellhound that ensured a bunch of imps got illicit access to Earth. She pulled her phone out and ordered a underdriver to get her to Sloth from their apartment. Look, if you need a portal, just shoot me a text. Otherwise, don't expect to see me for a while. What's so important that you're taking a month off? My boyfriend got stabbed protecting your buddy, she snarled and glared at him. Sweet silence permeated the air. Well, all right then. Blitzo sat down. And you only want a month off? His birthday is also coming up. She had a few ideas she wanted to run by B for things to get the idiot. Oh, when is? Within the month. I'm not telling you when. right? Blitzo laughed nervously. He drummed his fingers. So? I'm good. Yeah. Later, she turned to leave. Bye, Looney Tooney, be safe. F off, Luna shouted back as she strode out of his office. She gave Fatty a middle finger as she passed him, and then sent Millie the peace sign before she got to her desk and grabbed her coffee. With that, she left IMP's offices with a slam of the door, and she made her way back to the apartment she called home so that she could pack for her stay cation in gluttony. It was just on the cusp of sunset when a portal swirled into existence onto the bark of a tree that led to the back door of the Elzebub. It was basically bees. But she was weird about her baby bro moving out mansion, from which a certain fox fiend and his hellhound girlfriend walked out. This is humiliating. Naruto grumbled as his girlfriend led him along with a leash on his collar. Why was she doing that? For 2 reasons. The first, as he was told, was to make sure he didn't go off and get himself killed. The nerve, thinking he ran off to get himself killed before anyone says anything. That one time with Sasuke didn't count. That was a pointless murder by his former best friend who was being groomed by a psychopathic PD flea that killed their grandfather figure. He only ran off into danger if it meant he might get a good fight out of it. No, wait, if he could help people. Yeah, that's what he meant. The second and more practical reason was because he had a thick white cone strapped around his head that blocked his line of sight. Hence, his statement on humiliation. He also didn't appreciate the amusement and the sharp tang of pride that filtered into his girlfriend's vibes when she first saw him wearing this stupid cone of shame. Where was the sympathy for her doof? That's what you get. Can I take this stupid thing off? Doc said to leave it on for until we got you home. She tugged on the leash. Come on, doof. Everyone gets their time with the walk of shame. I didn't put you through this SHT. He grumbled and crossed his arms. The leash went taut, and he felt himself get yanked around to his left. A small clawed hand pressed on his chest to steady him before it pulled back and whapped the side of the cone. His hands shot up to steady it while he winced from the echo it created. Gah, loon, what the foo? I got drunk off of high-grade medical alcohol. I didn't get stabbed deep enough to require surgery to fix the damage because my biology healed me too fast, she growled. All right, she had him there. Oh, that jab didn't feel necessary. Before you go and do something stupid like think I'm being a beach for no reason, I had to find out from me that you spent the night in the hospital. I was fine, you had other things going on, besides it was the doctor who made a big deal out of it. He choked on his words as she tugged on his leash and grabbed his collar to pull his head down. Oh, this is an awkward angle. Oh, hey Luna eyes. Oh, those are angry Luna eyes. Not the fun me angry ones either. It's HT, he up somehow. Naruto, you got stabbed so deep you had to get surgery so that the damage didn't heal wrong. She growled. Yeah, she just said that. What was the big deal? He lived, didn't he? He winced when she tugged at the cone, and he had to bend at an even more awkward angle. And now you have to wear this stupid SHT, so I can't even get a boop to calm down until it's off. If you'd told me you were in the hospital, I'd have dumped Blitzo on the Fatty and Millie so that I could come be with you. I thought you liked Millie, Moxie wasn't liked much on either of their ends. He'd have gotten through to Striker if that little idiot had waited 2 more minutes, he was sure of it. Not the point that you should be taking from this conversation. Luna growled again. She huffed and released the cone. He quickly adjusted his posture because, and let himself be led along. Never mind. Come on, once that thing comes off, you can show me where we're staying. What? He furrowed his brows, not that anyone could see it, and she sighed. Our stay cation starts today. Our? Naruto felt his tail wriggle and perked up. She didn't answer and kept walking, and her spicy vibes started to bleed away to more bitter than sweet ones. Okay, no. He didn't mean to make her sad. He hurried his pace and reached out with a swipe of his claw. Once, twi bingo. Naruto. She growled as he tucked her into his side with his arm over her shoulders. He whined at her and she growled again, but relented and remained in the one-armed embrace. Her bitter vibes were still there, but the sweet ones started to rise up and match them. His tail kept going wild. Low. Save it until the cone comes off. All right, fair. That was only 2 or so seconds away if they got into the house without any the door flung open, and the sweet honey smell bee had suddenly filled his nostrils. Baby bee PFFT. His tail stopped wriggling and bristled. He felt his shoulders tense while his ears turned flat within the cone. "Bee, don't laugh," he growled. If anyone would have sympathy for his state, you'd think his loving and oftentimes mischievous as he was older sister would prioritize his health over the comical appearance he had. Wait, hold on, something about that sentence didn't sound right. Oh, yeah, she was as mischievous as he was. 3, 2, 1. Sure enough, Bee laughed. Right on cue, too. He growled and pushed past her into the kitchen. He needed to find a F-knife and get rid of this stupid thing. "Oh F, that's hysterical," Bee wheezed from behind him. "Who, tell me you've got pictures of that, pretty pup." "Before," Luna said with a pause. She must be showing the pictures off, damn it. "And after." "Oh, F yes, unholy SHT, I am getting these F-ers framed," Bee guffawed. "Oh, send me those, I need to send them to Oz." "I hate you both." Naruto grumbled without heat as he felt around for the knife block. Why not just use his claws? Because some twisted F-er figured out how to make durable and malleable cones that Bee couldn't break. He bet it was the short king wannabe, twisted as he was. Now, where was that F-knife block? There's the stove, the sink, the second stove, the fridge, aha, the countertop. All he had to find now was the... Yep, he gagged and stumbled back toward Luna as she tugged on the leash. "Gack, Loon." "Doof, what are you doing?" "Getting a knife to get this F thing off of my neck." There was a long silence. He didn't like that there was a long silence. It meant they were judging his intelligence, probably as a united front. He didn't need that. He knew that he was an idiot sometimes, but come on. He just wants the F cone off. "Doof." Luna muttered again. Her feet patted across the ground, and she fiddled with the cone at the base of his neck. What was SH? Oh, there was a latch. Ha ha, freedom. He shook his head out and glared at the unconed cone in his girlfriend's claws. His lip curled at it for all of 3 seconds before there was a click as the leash on his collar was undone, and his muzzle was cupped by gentle claws. They turned his eyes away to the pretty gaze of his girlfriend and guided him into a boop. Ah, the blissful peace that was the euphoria of a boop. Luna's scent spiked with her vibes and her lips teased against his. Yep, can confirm, Luna kisses were the best kisses after being trapped in a boop-less hell. His claws found her sexy, curvy hips while hers smoothed over his cheeks, grazed his spots and twined in his hair. Her tail made a gentle swoosh whereas his wriggled like there was no tomorrow. All that remained was a brief huff of her vibes and yeah, that's the good SHT. Wait, what the F is that? There was a different FBN vibe in the air. Not sweet like Luna's vanilla FBN vibe, but definitely sweet. Kind of like honey. Why was Bee giving off the FBN vibe? The question had him pull out of the embrace and look at his sister. She was watching them with a wide grin on her face. 2 of her hands were clutched together under her chin, while the other 2 were hugging herself around her sides. I F love when you 2 do that. It's so effing cute. Bee admitted. The hands wrapped around her sides lifted up to clap along with the ones she had under her chin. Thanks for those free vibes, baby bro. And I know I said you're on stake, Hatayan, but there are going to be rules for it. Are you F serious? He deadpanned. Bee's smile became a little more feral. An ominous shiver went up his spine. The F was? He shook the thought off and focused on Bee as she spoke. Dead but serious. Rule 1. Baby bro, need to get back to rent payment. He opened his mouth to argue when she held a finger up. Consider that the favor for not killing pretty pup's mediocre hound dad. On that note, you should have just let me eat him that first time, pretty pup. I think I'll live without that memory, thanks. Luna deadpanned. Naruto grunted and turned to keep her tucked in his side while he watched Bee. He wasn't overly fond of how her eyes tracked Luna, like she was a challenger. Effin' weird. Anyway, rule number 2. Bee held up the number on her lower right hand. You guys are mandated to show up at any party I throw. I presume that the next one is, he started only for his sister to beam again. Tonight, best get the cleaning crew out. Naruto grimaced. He's down to clown around most of the time, but his gluttony cycled around things other than partying, so doing that right after being told he'd have downtime was not ideal. Not to mention the migraine he'll probably have after the clones are dispelled. Ugh. Any rooms I should avoid? My workroom, Tex is napping in the MSTRO, and your old bedroom? I'm sorry, old? Naruto repeated. B grinned and grabbed his wrist. Yeah, you've been out of the house for, like, 3 months, baby bro. I redecorated and moved your stuff. Come on. Naruto was jerked along, again, and given where his arm was over her shoulder, Luna consequently came with. B rushed them through the main hall. The disco ball was new. He preferred the giant lava lamp tower she had and up the west wing stairs to a bedroom suite at the end of the right hallway. Okay, quick check. And yeah, all of his stuff was here, except for one thing. B, where's Jim? Jim? Luna repeated with a look from the corner of her eyes. Jim. B tapped her chin and Naruto closed his eyes and took a deep breath. The cactus, B. The cactus I've taken care of for 8 years? The cactus I had on my windowsill for 8 years, she blinked at him and he rubbed his face. The plant that had a sticky note on it that said not for guacamole. Not fo-oh, yeah, that thing. Yeah, it died. Like, a month ago. Boo-foo how? I just fed him. He should have been fine for another month. Naruto groaned into his hands. He dragged them down his muzzle and sighed. Never mind, it's fine. It's fine. I'll just swing by the garden sometime this week and dig up another one. The garden? You mean, where those gray stags are? Luna asked. Her tail did its cute little tip wag. Well, that wasn't part of his plan. But now he was definitely taking her hunting again. Ooh, stags, yes. Just tell me when, not tonight. Obviously, maybe, I'll sit on it. B shrugged. She grinned and fluttered around the room. So, other than the dead flower? Cactus. Naruto grumbled and went over to the modest entertainment center he had set up in his room. His 48-inch flat screen was now wall-mounted above a stand with a few unfamiliar game systems and corresponding games. Mamio Casket 23 was new, probably another re-release aligned next to the movie collection he had, and set across from a small LTHR couch that was lined up with his supersized whoopee cushion belly bag. It was the belly bag he collapsed back first into without any hesitation. The fart-like sound it let out as he sank in was like music to his ears. He sighed and let his head flop back. It was just as comfortable as he left it. Smelt a bit like bee's honey for some reason, but he chalked it up to her moving all of his stuff without his okay. I grabbed everything and moved you down here. That way if we get spicy with each other, we can have a bit of distance to cool off. B finished as if he didn't say anything. She grinned at Luna. All right, pretty pup, you need to swing back to your place to get your stuff. I've got it. Luna hummed as she messed with her phone. She frowned. Doof, what's the Lu-Fi password? Glutton's glory hole. There's a 0 where the O's are supposed to be, he said, then lifted his head to glare at B. Unless you decided to change that. Again. I learned after the last time you had a Naru nap not to mess with any of that without telling you. So, you just have those clothes and your phone? Traveling light? B asked, tilting her head. She was doing that stare thing again, the stare thing she reserved for challengers. The stare thing that was starting to get on his nerves because he didn't understand why she was giving that stare to his girlfriend. No, it's in a subspace. Luna hummed as she walked into the room and made a full circle with her phone's camera light on. I'll unpack in a minute. Why? B crossed her arms. I haven't gotten you to your room yet. I thought I was staying with Naruto. Luna looked back at B with a confused furrow of her brow. Right. B groaned into a hand. Ugh, duh. Sorry, yeah, of course. Totally slipped my mind that you'd do that. Naruto squinted at his sister and sat up. Something was up. B was never this scatterbrained on a party night. During a party, maybe, and outside of one when she had to work, sure, but not when she was in host mode before a party. Hey, B, let's go talk real quick about where you want the cleaning crew to start, he said as he got up from his seat and grabbed his sister's arm to pull her along. Not an odd thing he did, they were and always have been touchy-feely since he started staying with her, but what was odd was how her vibes sweetened and soured. Super weird. He grinned at his girlfriend as she went back to recording the interior of his room. Be right back, Loon. Whatever. She waved him off and collapsed on the bed. Her ears went up, and she immediately sat up to glare at him. The F are we doing at hotel rooms when you have a bed like this? Right? It's so effin' soft. B, we're talking. Loon, just hold that thought for a sec, babe. Naruto grinned at her before he hauled B into the hallway and shut his new room's door. He crossed his arms and glared at his sister. Okay, what the F is wrong with you? Gluttony, when defined, could be mistaken as an offshoot of greed. It was, actually, the inverse. Greed was a byproduct of gluttony, for where gluttony causes one to indulge and enjoy the things one had, victims of greed made one hoard and starved for more of that hoard, to increase the hoard regardless of its content. After all, it was possible for a human to be a greedy eater and a gluttonous profiteer, but it was because of humans that distinctions between the two sins cleared. The greedy hoarded, and the gluttonous splurged. Occasionally, the blurred lines tended to affect the sins-associated demonic princes in strange ways. That being said, B knew that she tended to get hyper-protective of a few specific hell pups and hounds. For example, there was an entire year way back in the start of hell that she did nothing but eat her feelings after the first hound she created hers and Cerberus joint gift to Lucifer upon his cementing of hell's throne had died of natural causes, and the life expectancy of hellhounds was finally given a number. A measly little 200, whereas imps and the other sins creations could last well into twice that. She only stopped wallowing after Lilith came around to talk to her. The fact that she and Cerberus shared their first date that night probably also helped. More recently of an example was the raising and nurturing of her baby bro. Back before she knew he was a lost soul from the start of hell, he was a crimson crystal in the shape of an oblong egg. She found it almost 7 millennia ago while exploring her ring in search of good vibes. If she followed her gut instinct to eat it, she was almost afraid to think of what would have happened. She didn't, and 5,500 years passed before it paid off, and she got the cute little brother she never knew she always wanted. He was such a little SHT sometimes, but looking at how he turned out now, not to mention how more successful he was compared to Charlie. She loved the girl like a daughter, but rehabilitating souls was just not happening anytime soon. B felt like she did good. The stressful times she had to deal with while he was stuck in Naru naps notwithstanding. However, since his 20th nap, coinciding with what she was told by Belfager was his 15th birthday, something changed in her baby bro. He became more free-spirited, more angry, and more prone to violent outbursts. Her poor kitchen suffered quite terribly when he woke up and found out Cerberus left. She found herself having to put him back in line more often, reminding him that she was the sin or the big sis or the layer of the law across the entire ring. Thankfully, the outbursts were kept to personal spats. Most of it involved his training with that SHT that the F-wad left inside of him. B just hated that F-wad. Mephistophiles, a demon that predated the rule of Lucifer, that was said to be the king or god of magicians, and was as powerful as any sin if not more so. When she found that red-headed F-er hovering over her baby bro while he was in the midst of his 20th nap, under the guise of helping an old friend, she may have lost her cool. When he started using the strange energy SHT that the F-wad put inside of him during his training, he would exhaust himself to a state that made him look like he was on death's doorstep. Belfager told her in private after one such training session that it was a finite energy source and was recovered by siphoning his life force. Not demonic energy, not his magical core, his F-life force, aka his F-soul. Yeah, believe it or not, demons have souls. They're just not connected to God the same way human souls are, and life can't exist without a soul. His unique clones, a trick he developed when he was younger, didn't seem to affect the soul, so that was fine. As was the spinning orb thing he did. They and any other weird ninja trick just tapped into a weird blend of demonic and magical energy. It was when he said he needed to train alone that she knew he wanted to use that SHT that F-wad put inside him. B liked to be able to keep an eye on him, to ensure he didn't go and get himself killed by accident, so she would refuse. They would argue, they would fight, but she would win. So, it was for the past 10 years. In those 10 years, Naruto grew into a lean, witty and powerful demon she was proud to call a member of her house, let alone her brother. But, along with her pride, the sin of gluttony saw something else. A male, virile, young, and strong. He was cute and kept himself in shape despite being able to match her in any contest of consumption. Brother or not, B knew she was attracted to him. For a time, she figured he wasn't really into others and would tease him about hounds that were trying to get his attention. He would shrug it off with a joke or laugh, like he was just humoring her whenever she teased him. Until the one day he came home with a F library's worth of pawn and pinup magazines. It wasn't until that day, the day that B met her baby sis, that she realized he was an arrow ace. He was just that dense. His hyper-focus on training also didn't work in his favor. Okay, so he was doomed to die of aversion, then, was her next thought, and the growing gluttony B felt for him dimmed out to a low simmer. It would flare now and then, and when it did, she teased him and he'd shrug it off, but she would ignore it otherwise. Then he met his pretty pup. He found a partner, as she did, with her hounds. A partner that was just as cute and alluring to her as he was. Okay, fine, sure, that was B didn't know the vibe, but she didn't like it. She could live with it. And then he beat her in a fight. The rest, as they say, is history, which leads B to her current predicament. Okay, what the F is wrong with you? Baby bro glared at her with his arms crossed. Did he get taller? F, they were almost at eye level. Me? B arched a brow. She planted her hands on her hips and back. Nothing's wrong with me, baby bro. You keep glaring at Luna like she's challenging you. SHT, did she? F, that was bad. That was very, very bad. She needed to rein in her gluttony before it started a fight. Maybe she could just tell baby bro, yeah, he'd get it. Baby bro was pretty understanding as far as demons went. Well, you gonna answer me sometime today, or should I just go back to get grilled by my girlfriend? Right, she needed to answer. Understanding, baby bro could be, but patient. A, he and B were alike in that regard. As in, they didn't have a lot to give. I want to F her. And you. Together. I want to THRSM with you too. Naruto blinked and opened and closed his mouth. He rubbed his face while his vibes tried to figure out how to react. Hang B. What the actual F? What? B crossed her arms. I've offered to F you like 300 times. She's hot, you're hot, and I'm hot. And horny. It's just a F. Why is this surprising to you? I thought those were jokes. Oh, baby bro. She cupped his face with 3 hands and smiled down at him. He growled at her and she laughed. Her 4th hand traced over his stomach. You're so effing adorable sometimes. Get off. Yeah, that's the whole F point. I want to. You, he closed his eyes. B, this, not okay. Very good. Proud of your speaking skills. B grinned as she leaned in to get more whiffs of his scents and vibes. Party foul, he snarled, and she backed away. A constant growl emitted from his throat as his hackles rose, and he glared at her with a raised claw. Whatever he was going to say, he thought twice about it before his finger lowered. Go F Vortex, B. I'm not. This is not something I'm talking about with you. Right now, her ears drooped. Ever. Naruto deadpanned. She whined and he growled. No, just F no. This is not a negotiation. Baby bro, it's just sec. Not to me, he growled. He closed his eyes and turned to the door. His hand wrapped around the handle to his door and his tail lashed. He hesitated before he looked at her again. B, I love you. I do, but you're my sister, okay? Not by BLD. B grumbled as she crossed all 4 of her arms. She hated admitting that. Hated it. He was her baby bro. She raised him and loved him and cuddled him. He was hers. I'd thought that you would have known this by now, but BLD doesn't F matter to me, he snapped, and she winced. He snarled and closed his eyes. His vibes had settled on salty and spicy. Oof, this wasn't good. Maybe she could talk him into a lighter, he huffed and growled under his breath before she could speak. Look, I don't know if this is a sin thing or a you thing, and frankly, I don't give an SHT. I'm not. It's not happening, B. What if we just take turns with pretty? Glowing white eyes glared into hers and B found herself frozen by instinctual indecision. Did she take this as a challenge and glare back, or allow herself to be aroused by it and submit? F, she should get him to back down. But SHT, the fact he was making her back down was making her so wet. If you even try to finish that sentence. He stopped and closed his eyes again. No, I'm done. I just got through dealing with the douchefer's bullshit for the past month. I got stabbed and I've had surgery. I'm going to go back to my room to hang out with my girlfriend now until the party. Go, I don't know, go do some work, or go text, I don't care. Just leave me alone. With that, he disappeared back into his bedroom and slammed the door behind him. As she walked away, her wings drooped and B couldn't help but feel like she might have everything up. A man walked into a small hut and lit a candle. He made the sign of the cross and bowed his head for 2 minutes. Then he addressed the bedridden ill he came to help. And how are your eyes feeling today? Better. How better? Raphael asked as he sat beside his bandaged patient. Much better. Raquel smiled. A small broken thing. Raphael sighed as he recognized the trauma behind it. So many orphans of war had such a terrible smile. Thank you, Raphael, truly for your aid, but you are now needed elsewhere. He'd been heeded by a cardinal to head to St. Louis. A possession had gone on for too long unchecked, and the priest there was too inexperienced to handle it. He needed to oversee the situation before it was exacerbated by the inclusion of a third party. That could come in the form of misguided charlatans that took advantage of the faithful, or worse, disenchanted exorcists trained in the methods that Father found unforgivable. Raquel, as Michael pointed out, was their brother. A fallen not cast down to hell, one they had a chance to redeem. He had duty to serve his father's children. But did that not also include their brother? Will you be all right? I will be fine, Raphael. Go. Guide the sheep as you're meant to. Crass humor, brother. Raphael allowed a bell of a laugh to leave his lips before he rose and snuffed the candle. I'll leave you with this scent. Thank you. Raquel took a deep breath in and exhaled. Ah, is this a new candle? Yes, it's made to smell like cherry blossoms. They promote healing and new life. Raphael explained with a smile that couldn't be seen. He patted Raquel's hand and rose from his seat. He left, but almost stopped as he shut the door. He could have sworn he heard the fallen's breath hitch, as if he wanted to cry, but shook the feeling off. The door slammed shut as her boyfriend stormed back into his room and collapsed onto the stupidly comfortable bed beside her. He sank into the mattress face first as the wriggler snapped about. A constant growl filled the room. A genuine angry one, not the sexy one. What? Did she ask you to unclog a shitter pipe or something? Luna asked, not looking up from her phone. The posts she made of her boyfriend's bedroom were blowing up. Demons were so weird. Most of his walls were bare except that weird framed Super Satan poster with the signature on it. She didn't know who Mephistophiles was until she searched the name, and the poster hanging on the wall was worth an fortune. She really hoped Blitzo didn't ever learn about it. Don't, Loon. She looked up from her phone at him when the bed shifted. He rolled on his side away from her and took in a shuddering breath. She set her phone down on the mattress and then reached to grab his shoulder. He growled and Luna arched her eyebrow. The F are you so pissy about? Is unclogging her toilets really that bad? I really don't want to talk about it. Babe. She pulled on his shoulder and rolled him onto his back. His eyes were glowing and he kept glaring straight up while he kept his arms crossed. Okay, weird. She rubbed his shoulder. Doof? Luna, just give me a second, please. His eyes closed and he huffed. I'm trying to calm down. Without a boop? That doesn't sound like him. Normally, he just asked for a boop. SHT, she'd started asking for boops whenever she could get one. That SHT was as addicting as cigarettes. Probably better than them, too. If we try to boop right now, I might bite you. I don't want to bite you. Sounds, KY. Gotten it, Loon. He groaned and pressed his hands into his face. He snarled into them. SHT, God damn it. Whoa, babe, Luna recoiled from the loud exclamations and watched him warily. If he was going to have random bouts of anger, she was not staying in the same room. She'd been through that in the orphanage when she was 12. She felt no remorse when that psychopath was put down after she and 8 others got hurt when he snapped during recess. Just venting. He let his hands flop down and his eyes opened to reveal their appealing blues again. He finally looked at her and took in her posture before his ears turned back and he looked away. Was he ashamed? Sorry, Loon. Want to explain what the F that was all about? She asked, still eyeing him. He sighed and rolled his head back to look her in the eye. My sister has no sense of F-tact, that's what. You've known her for how long, again? Luna asked with an arched brow. This was news? She learned that the first time they met. He rolled his eyes. You're hilarious, he huffed. His hand reached out to her and, upon another look from her to him, she took it. He guided her over to straddle him and let his hands rest on her hips. The dumb big all-blue puppy dog eyes stared up at her. I've got to ask now, don't I? Oh, clever boy. She let her lips pull up into a small smile. She hovered her nose just out of reach of his. Ask for what? You're so mean, he whimpered. It wasn't a genuine one. She could see the twinkle of amusement in his eyes. Use your words, doof. She cooed at him as she leaned in and her claws traced along his shoulders. He rumbled and his claws flexed into her hips. She bit back a growl and groaned at the feeling of his claws on her skin. FTs. Loon, can I have a boop? The fact this cheeky butt added a little whimper to his pleug, she should not find this as adorable as she does. Of course, doof. Her tail wagged as she brought her nose tip down and met his much cooler one. He rumbled against her as she relaxed into him. Their lips teased each other before the boop became a close NTMT makeout session. She initiated another tongue war, one yes, that's another streak on the horizon for Luna, and claimed her prize by mapping out his mouth once more. Once that was done, and the need for air came about again, she broke the embrace and rested her forehead against his to look him in the eye. Memoir feel better? So much. I love you, Luna, he sighed and his claws traced up over the back of her hips to wrap his arms around her. He nuzzled into her and she smiled as she nuzzled back. Sweet, cuddly doof was the best doof. I love you, doof. She returned with a sigh of her own as her eyes closed. His tail made a wondrous percussion while hers swoosh swoosh swooshed in the background as they laid atop his ridiculously comfy bed. So, before we get back to your little temper tantrum. Oh, you think that was a tantrum? He snorted. She leveled him with a look and grimaced. They get worse? I have to reevaluate this relationship, she said. He tightened his arms around her and whined. She snorted and pecked him on the side of the muzzle. Doof. Kidding, babe. Not funny. It was hilarious, you know it. She smirked and huffed his wonderful violet and almost coconut scent. He grumbled another disagreement, but nuzzled her again. She smiled and sighed. Anyway, before you came back, we were going to talk about why we never broke this bed. We didn't break the other beds either. I mean, not for lack of trying. You know what I meant. She rolled her eyes. Mostly because B's parties are sporadic. I didn't want someone to come in when we were in TMT. Plus, inter-ring transit is monitored. Do it too much. Dushifer gets back at you. Dushifer gets back at you. He nodded and she harumphed. But. I know, right? Well, with my question about your bed answered, why were you shouting at your sister? She gave him a look and he sighed. The wriggler stopped doing its thing. She ghosted her claws over his shirt. She loved the way the fabric fit to his chest and rested her head against his. She? He scowled and a hand lifted from where it was wrapped around her to rub at his eyes. A soft whine emitted from his throat. F? It's just so F. Take your time, babe. She took another deep whiff of his scent and her eyes closed. I'm not going anywhere. He grumbled and growled to himself for another minute before he wrapped his arm back around her. The rumble in his chest was going to lull her to sleep. Cuddle time with doof? Nearly the second best thing to a boop, only beat out by the mandatory cuddles his not forced on them. His body was warm, he smelled great, and he was hers. Very rarely was this sort of tranquility for them disrupted. Which, naturally, meant it had to be now. B told me she wants to have a THRSM with us. Luna choked on air and her eyes snapped open. WHDF. A Sin wanted to have a THRSM with her. A hot Sin wanted to have a THRSM with her and her boyfriend. It just didn't she have a boyfriend? Like, a stupidly hot boyfriend? a type of boyfriend that Luna thought she wanted until she and Naruto became official. Doesn't she have a boyfriend, though? IF no, right? His arm flew up before he clapped his hand over her eyes. Like SHT, we've had a fight over the last F cookie before. I don't want to know how a FTHRSM would end. That wasn't my point, babe. She sat up. Did she and her boyfriend break up? SHT, IF hope not. Naruto groaned. He whined, a genuine one this time. I'm such an butt. I told her to go F him before I came back in here. I need the play-by-play, word for word. So, she got it. As he recalled the exchange, which was super F bizarre, albeit really flattering, Luna absorbed all the details and wrote out highlights on her phone to keep her thoughts organized. By the end of it, they were both sitting up against the headboard of his bed and looking at the notes on her phone. And, yeah, honestly, maybe Naruto was a bit of an butt in how he rejected B. Not that Luna was totally sure about going for it. There was a high possibility she'd have two hotties that could be all over each other and forget about her. Or one hottie all over her and forget about the other hottie, as unlikely as that second scenario was. Neither seemed like great outcomes for a THRSM, and the thought of seeing the hot sin of gluttony take her not stirred up some mixed feelings. On one hand, live view of super hot, bro-sis action between her sexy boyfriend and his hot sister, but on the other hand, her instincts might have a small issue. That was her knot that belonged in her PP and no one else's, but she wasn't entirely sure that he needed to shoot down the possibility of it happening. At the same time, however, she admittedly with a smidge of bias felt that he had a very good F point. They had only been together for 2 months before he had to F off and spend a month as Lucifer's pit dog. Their week off before the semifinals was nearly F ruined by the arrival of that psycho hunter Royal F face, and the celebration of the finals being over was ended prematurely by their exhaustion, emotional and physical, getting the best of them. This stay Katayan was just as much for Luna as it was for him. For him, it's a way to wind down and relax since he just spent the past month in a life or death fight for his life. To her, it was definitely supposed to be a calm PRD for them so that they could finish feeling each other out without any interference from the 7 sins or Blitzo or whatever work Naruto had that week. A nice trial PRD where they can maybe do more than just to relieve stress and show how much they care about each other. Now they had to navigate at minefield because the sin of gluttony was lusting for at least one of them. How does that even work? Luna asked. Isn't Asmodeus the sin of lust? A sin is more than their sin, Loon. Naruto huffed. B's well, B, but she feels more things than just hungry or party crazy or horny. She has control over the sin, and I know each is called the embodiment of it, but I never bought into that. If that were true, she wouldn't have jumped off of food snacking 24/7 to throw parties and watch others snack or dance. Nor would she care if people got raped or overindulged to death on the dance floor. Has that happened? Not in my lifetime. Okay, so she can feel lust. Luna leaned against him, and he put his arm around her shoulder. She does feel lust. For one of us, at least. And if they haven't broken up, why not just invite her boyfriend and we just do it SWCH? You want to SWCH? He gave her a look. She unashamedly stared back. It'd be for what? 1F? He growled, and she scratched his neck. Come on, doof, don't be like that. I'm not about to leave you for him, it's just Vortex is hot, babe. I know he's hot. I'm not blind. Naruto huffed and leaned into her touch. He nosed at her neck and then tilted his head to give her better access to the underside of his jaw. It's a stupid instinct thing. Having some other guy all over my loon, regardless of how we interact. SHT, even when my clones flirt with you, I want to sock them in the face. So, I'm not alone in that feeling? She smirked as he scrunched his brow. She scratched his spot and he went dopey-faced. So cute. He got an embrace on the cheek. Their flirts are awful. And mine are better, right? Sometimes worse. TCH. He pulled his head back and shook off the spot-scratched face. Aw, she liked ooh, yes, ear tease time. Luna loved it when he played with her notch. But yeah, if we were like, at an org or something. No, that makes my stomach feel weird. Is that does that make me controlling? I think it makes you a guy. Luna huffed around a smirk. Yeah, threesomes or couple swaps were one thing, but orgies or swinger setups like them. Not her cup of tea. Hot for pawn, though. Okay, so guest text isn't allowed to be on my pass list. Why in all that is evil would you waste a slot on your pass list for Vortex, hotness aside? Naruto rolled his eyes. Dude has that going for him and nothing else. Well, SHT she didn't have an argument for that. Deflect time. Why do you call him that? Legit walked in on him halfway inside of B. Head first into her mouth. Ugh, thanks for that image, doof. You were thinking about him F her tilde. Naruto teased with a poke to her cheek. You're an F child, she growled and shoved him while he laughed. Yeah, if that was a K&K the hot hound was into. No wonder he had eyes for Beelzebub. Typical, the hot ones were all either taken, weird or gay. Well, except her doof no wait, he was 2 out of 3. But in all seriousness, already thinking about a pass list? Naruto looked at her with as small a smile as he could manage. Top 3 go. Dawn Howitzer, Cerberus, and Princess Morningstar. That was faster than I thought SHT. Yeah, Charlie's on mine, too. He shrugged at her sudden wide-eyed stare. She just remembered a certain fantasy of hers she had during their second stay at the Princess Hotel. If she could get the other girlfriend to agree. Don't wag, tail, you'll spoil it. Thankfully, her tail decided to listen for once, and she could let her doof break the silence. What? She wouldn't go for it. But I managed to catch her and her ex once in a closet with a prank gone wrong, and she's hot. Nothing about Cerberus, she'd figured since he knew the original hound, he'd be against it. He dated my sister for centuries, Naruto deadpanned. Right. Luna had forgotten that. And given how hellhounds treat him, I'm not surprised he's on your list. I almost want to watch, but again, instincts. Dawn Howitzer, though? Really? I'm more of a Lisa Timberbark fan. That beach can't howl to save her life. Luna scoffed. Dawn had a F-grade howl, and hearing it always got Luna across her own finish line. Timberbark was a F-whiner whenever she came. Yeah, but she's got a nice butt. A dark gleam flicked in her boyfriend's gaze as his eyes roamed over her. Reminds me of yours. Don't blush, don't blush, don't blush, Luna chanted and forced her ears to stay upright. What? So what if she had self-confidence issues? She grew up in a F orphanage. You F try it. Rather than address that. However, she mock glared at her boyfriend. Think about it that often. If I say no, I'm a liar, and if I say yes, I sound like I'm not appreciating you. He leaned forward and planted an embrace on her neck. She glowered at him for the teasing gesture, and for ruining her fun at his expense. He shrugged. I'm a guy, I think about pawn sometimes. Mostly about what I'd do to you that I've seen her take before. SHT, Luna thought with a growl as her ears folded back. Now I want to know what else he's seen in pawn that we've done. Did he learn CNLNGS from pawn? No, wait, better question. Who's your third? Huh. Your third pass. Do I need one? I gave you 3. No hesitation either. Naruto leered at her with a smirk. She huffed at him, and he held a hand up. Okay. Yeah, it's only fair. Katie Killjoy. That Sinner Beach on the news? And he didn't take long to think about it either. What was? Yep. Naruto growled and curled his lip. That beach needs to get hate F-ed to brain-dead levels of stupidity in the worst way. Oh, F, that should not have been as hot as it sounded. F, she almost wanted to see that happen. SHT, doof, that would be a one-time pass, huh? It's the only one I'd need for that F-up WHR. He nuzzled her and nipped at her ear. Don't really care about any of them. I got you. SHT, that was sweet in a twisted way, damn it. She really shouldn't say it. She shouldn't say it. F it. And B. And so we come full circle. Naruto sighed and wrapped his arms around her to pull her onto his lap. He whined and rested his head beside hers. The F do we do about this, Loon? What do we do? Luna nuzzled his head as he whimpered. Poor guy really was getting worked up about this. Well, one of two things. Either we F her, or we don't. You'd be okay watching me F my sister. Yes? No? Maybe? Probably? Probably. Depends on if you'd be okay F your sister. I don't know. I've never thought of her that way. Naruto admitted with a frown. He sighed. I mean, she is pretty hot and all, and I guess her butt's nice. But acquaintance, I knew it. What? Nothin' babe, just thinking out loud. Luna kissed his cheek as her tail wagged. She was glad she got that sorted out. Her tips weren't anything to write home about, but her butt was tight and she knew he liked both. But now she knew which her boyfriend preferred. You were saying? I mean, Carmine crafted gun to my head. Yeah, I would. And if she really does want me there, then sure. You saying you'd just watch us if she didn't? That kind of turned Luna on. Having him nearby and watching her get eaten out or scissored or F-strap F. Then she could go back to him once he was all riled up. SHT, she had to stop thinking about it. I'd watch you, he growled in her ear. She bit her lip to swallow the Damn it, he got her again. Sly sexy doof. He huffed and his head pulled back to rest against the headboard. But I mean, that's if she's not serious about it. If she is, I'd probably be strong pressed not to focus on you. Ugh, something was wrong with Luna's heart. It just swelled for some reason. He was talking about focusing on her during a hypothetical THRSM with his sister, not bearing his soul for the world to see. Not that she wanted him to be prioritizing anyone else, sin or not, when they were or wanted his nod in someone else's PP, or butt, or mouth, or whatever other orifice that might sprout up. What? It was hell, people. Weird SHT happened down here. So, what about you? What? Luna blinked. Do you want the THRSM? Luna felt her ears flatten and her tail wagged once. SHT. She glanced at him from the corner of her eyes and rested her hands over his. If I do, does that make me a bad girlfriend? I don't think so, he shrugged. No more than me wanting one would make me a bad boyfriend, so long as we talked about it, like now. Not that I want this one. I don't. That is, it's not a priority for me. I mean, I wouldn't be against a THRSM, but it's your sister. Not BLD, but she got it. She wasn't BLD related to Blitzo, but he was her family. Not that she meant she'd ever him. Don't get any ideas. Ugh, just know. It's my sister. He let his head hang back and whined again. It's just so ... it quotes not weird. I just don't. I don't want things to change. Like what? Are you afraid she'll fall in love with your PP? Kind of, now that you mention it. Naruto admitted with a frown. She almost snorted and then realized how dangerous it could be if that happened. That theory she had a while back, the one that could get her in trouble if not dead at Beelzebub's hands, that was starting to look more and more like a real possibility. No, but she's my annoying big sister. Who's also hot? She added just to lighten the mood a bit. He snorted and smirked at her. Yeah, she's also hot, he chuckled a bit before his smile fell again. But she was. She raised me. Loon? I can't see her as anything other than B. Luna was so lucky. This stupid doof was definitely one of the 3% of decent souls in hell. Most hounds would be dropping tro and at full mast or sopping wet the second B looked their way the way she was supposedly looking at Naruto and possibly Luna. SHT. She was halfway there the second he said something about her wanting a THRSM. She turned in her boyfriend's lap to rest her head on his shoulder and hooked her claws on his chain collar. A gentle tug brought his head down to her and she pushed her nose against his. Boop. I think you are too sweet for your own good, she mumbled and stole a peck, and that you need to talk to her about it. Being sweet? The THRSM. I did? He growled. She nipped his jowls and he went quiet before he rumbled into the boop. I don't want another shouting match or a fight. Babe, you are tired and stressed. I didn't say go talk to her about it right now. Luna sighed. She slid from his lap and pulled him with her to lie down atop her. Not a strong feat, considering her grip on his collar, but a bit challenging to do all the same. She released his collar and hugged his head into her chest. Come on, we'll catch up on some sleep. Maybe we'll sleep through the party. Fat chance. He huffed before he wrapped his arms around her sides and nuzzled into her clothed tips. He rumbled and his tail tiredly thwapped into the mattress. As his eyes shut and his breathing slowed, her poor doof really was tired. Gladiatorial matches followed by being stabbed and consecutive surgery did that to you. House demon or not, he muttered to her. You're too good for me, Loon. Don't you forget it, she snorted. I love you. I love you. Sweet dreams, doof. She smiled and stroked her claws down his mane as his breathing evened out. Once he was conked out, she typed a quick message to B, sent it, and then closed her eyes to join her boyfriend in a blissful slumber. And then he told me to leave him alone. SHT, B, you should have told me about this sooner. I'd have helped you get it sorted in a heartbeat. Ozzy huffed and rubbed his prime face. I mean, yeah, you really F up. I know, B groaned. She slumped into her chair in her workstation. I know, all right? And now it's going to be super awkward at the party tonight, and that's going to throw off all of the vibes. God F damn it, Oz, I hate this sort of SHT. And you're sure you don't want to cancel your gathering tonight, yeah? I have never cancelled a party on my hounds. I'm not going to do so tonight just because I F up. B frowned. But F after that sort of fight with baby bro. She just didn't feel like partying. Most of their fights were physical, but this one was heated and didn't get that way. His one victory, she couldn't even call it a fluke. That bad vibes attack was no F joke, made her leery of a physical fight again. The hellphone screen buzzed and B swiped it to see the notification. We're not coming to the FKN party tonight. Deal W it. F. B closed her eyes and covered her face with two hands. God F damn it. B, I can't see your messages. What was it? Baby bro told pretty pup. She sounds pissed. Well, no SHT. You told Naru baby to his face you wanted to F his girlfriend. Hearing about that secondhand. Either she leaves his butt then and there or she sides with him. I know, B groaned and spun herself in her chair. God, why is this SHT so complicated? It's not, B. You just SCK at interpersonal communication. No, I don't. You do, babe. Vortex's sudden voice made her jump. She sighed in relief at seeing it was just him as he walked in and came around to crouch by her. Hey Oz babe, SHT, what happened? I told baby bro I wanted a THRSM and he got real mad. My level of mad? Well, close. What did he say? Basically told her no several times, and then she brilliantly suggested using his girlfriend as a cum dump. I just suggested alternating, B protested with a scowl aimed at Ozzy. She looked back at Vortex as he stared at her. Her ears dropped. It's bad, babe. I really F it up. Well, we can't say we didn't see this as a possibility. He hugged her around the shoulders and pushed his cheek to hers. Then kissed the base of her ear. He pulled back and looked her in the eyes. You still want the THRSM? Yeah, she squeezed her eyes shut. She knew he still wasn't totally on board with the idea of it and felt awful. But this was something that she couldn't ignore anymore if she wanted to. Sorry. Did you tell him what you told me the second time we talked? Wait, you talked about this twice? Why is this the first I F heard of it? 3 times, actually that explains a whole F lot. Vortex sighed while Ozzy let out a startled squawk. B. And no, she leaned into him to hug him with one set of arms while the other wrung her hands together. I guess I was giving the pretty pup a matriarch stare and baby bro caught me doing it and asked me what was going on, so I just told him I wanted a THRSM. Oh, SHT, Vortex cupped her face. Babe, we talked about this. I know, I effing know. But he was right there and his vibes were so good. Tex, and she was all over him and then not. Her wings buzzed and she took a second to breathe. Her boyfriend frowned. It's getting that bad, huh? I don't know what to do, Tex. She felt her hands start to jitter and her eyes burned as her wings buzzed again. I really F up. I'm pretty sure he's disgusted with me. But there's a party in a few hours, and baby bro and pretty pup aren't coming to it because of the F up. But it's their party. Breathe, baby. The hellhound hushed her and led her through a soft breathing exercise. Hey, Oz, we'll call you back. You F better, I'm part of this now, and now that I know what's happening you can bet your sweet little butt I'm staying in on it. Gonna ignore that last bit. Tex muttered before he closed the call and went back to cupping B's face and rubbing her cheeks with his thumbs. Baby? Are you gonna be okay for the party? Yeah, I can. B, are you going to be okay? He reiterated. No. B slumped. He leaned forward to nuzzle her and she sniffed. I can't cancel. You aren't canceling, Vortex assured her as he picked her phone up. His thumb started typing, and he showed her the message he was going to send en masse. Their ride got held up. One of them had to get surgery. The party is postponed, not cancelled. Sounds good? Postponed? Postponed parties she's done before. She could do postponed. It wasn't a cancellation. Her hounds understood postponed. Postponed works. B nodded and rubbed at her eye. 2 days, he suggested. B did a quick overview in her head and nodded. 2 days was manageable. 2 days could salvage her relationship with her baby bro and pretty pup. She could tell them it wasn't a big deal. Help them understand what she was going through. Gluttony F sucked so much, she hated it. Thanks, Tex. She sniffed and wiped off her muzzle. Nothing. She looked up at her boyfriend and Vortex still has her phone. Oh, no. Vortex had her phone, and the message from Pretty Pup was basically unread. Baby, don't get mad at them, I F up. No, this isn't okay. This is Babe, she is dissing you in your house. I dissed her first, well, not really, but if someone had pissed Vortex off enough like that, yeah, she'd be a bit salty in the text too. She sighed and held his wrist. Please, Vortex, don't. She's just a pup. They're each other's first. Which was another reason why B wanted to be part of their THSM so bad. She wanted to help them enjoy it. She wanted to enjoy them and their vibes so that no one got hurt. The sec and satisfying her gluttony was just gravy. All right, he huffed. I have to give her a warning. Okay. B sighed. She knew Tex was loyal, but sometimes his loyalty was frustrating. Here, babe. I'm gonna go talk to your brother and his girl. Sit tight, call Oz back. Vortex leaned forward and kissed her between the ears. We'll get this sorted, babe, okay? Then you can go back to doing what you do best. Party. Well, that too, he joked before he left. B laughed and smiled at her wonderful boyfriend before she called Oz again. Sasuke grit his teeth and scowled. He would not cry. He would not. He didn't have the right. He didn't have the right. As he wallowed in his misfortune, he felt a presence emerge from beneath his bed. A power with it he hadn't felt in millennia. A madness he thought was lost to time. Ah, cherry blossoms, such a lovely smell. Very nostalgic, too. A dry, gravelly voice mused as the presence claimed his brother's seat. Mephistophiles. Sasuke smiled bitterly. To what do I owe the visit? Have you come to kill me in my weakened state? Don't flatter yourself. You and I both know your life belongs to another. The cold tone was more nostalgic than the scent of BLD that surrounded the god of magic. The bed creaked as Mephistophiles pushed his hands down upon it. Did you really face him again? Tell me what it was like. What did you feel? Who are you talking about? Sasuke asked, scowling. I taught Solomon everything he knew. Uchiha Sasuke, don't play coy with me. I faced him. It was nostalgic. Good. Mephistophiles stood and chuckled. Good, he hasn't changed. He's angrier. Prone to violence. That was reserved for you. Aren't you lucky? The demon chortled as he stood. Ah, I'm so happy that it settled well to him. Perhaps I'll drop by and visit him. You wouldn't dare, Sasuke growled. He did not need the god of magic to aid the idiot. It would ruin everything. Oh, Uchiha Sasuke, I stopped caring about your opinion a long time ago. Mephistophiles chuckled. There was a ruffle of clothes before he heard skin tap on skin. Besides, we share something in common. We've both had your fist inside of us. He vanished with a swirl of dust and took the rest of the cherry blossom incense with him. Sasuke grit his teeth and took a deep breath before he smirked. Fr had to know what he said. Confrontation was a stupidly easy thing to do in hell. When it was felt by a demon that another needed their mouth shut, they oftentimes took it upon themselves to do so. Back in the early days, it resulted in a lot of demon-on-demon deaths, which is why the evil eyes were so prevalent across the rings. Some of those things are said to predate the current iteration of Hell, but those were just rumors. Of course, Vortex didn't put much stock in rumors, he preferred things he could see for himself. That said, he could only hope that this confrontation wasn't about to end in a fight. He had no longing to find out what it was like to spend eternity as part of Hell. Even if it was B's mansion he would be anchored to. After a brisk walk from B's office, Vortex found himself outside of his girl's brother's new room. He closed his eyes and pressed his ear against the door to listen through the reinforced material that made it. No talking or grunting was muffled, so at least they weren't in the middle of a romp. Or if they were, it was really quiet. Oh well, do or die. He backed up and banged his fist onto the door 3 times. A low growl was heard on the other side. Huh, that must be Luna. It was a different growl than the lazy butts. Open up, butt, we need to talk. He waited a beat and then banged his fist again. Come on, shithead, don't make me bust this door. The different grumble and growl was louder, and he stepped back when the door was yanked open. Irate red eyes stared up into his and sharp whites were exposed by a curled lip. SHT. For a little thing, this pup had a fierce I will rip you apart with my bare hands and you'll pay me for it look to her. What do you want? You need to check your attitude. Vortex scowled at her. She rolled her F eyes, this little. No wonder she and B's bro were F. He growled and took a breath. Losing his temper wasn't going to help him here. Look, my one warning, don't talk to B the way you did. Are you talking about the text? She asked. The gall to be incredulous. She curled her lip at him with a bit of fang exposed. F seriously? She knows that's just how I F message people. But if it'll make you feel better, fine. I won't. Good. Before you say anything else that might PSS me off, the party's been postponed. He glared at her and she glared back. You're welcome. Thanks for your F sacrifice. Was that all? I need to talk to your boyfriend. It can F wait. She crossed her arms. I just got him to go to sleep. What is he, a F infant? Watch it, Vortex, she growled. Oh, F terrific. The little BSTRD probably told her about when he walked in on that dip into Vor. She jabbed a claw into his chest. You're just as much of a F guest here as I am. I don't care who it is you're F, or not F. You want to talk to him? It can F wait until later or tomorrow. This little beach was challenging him. Seriously? He was on her F side here. He snarled down at her and she snarled back up at him. Luna, trust me. This is not a fight you want, SHT. That's cold, F. Cold, 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 cold. Vortex looked down to see ice spreading from the claw on his chest. He stared down at the ice and then looked back up at the snarling she-hound. WW what TT the FFF. Listen up, butt. She snarled as frost shot up and covered the tops of his shoulders and base of his neck. She took a step out of the room and he reflexively backed up. You're mad that your girlfriend's upset. I F get it. I'm mad that my boyfriend is upset. But you think this is a fight I don't want? Are you F blind in both eyes, or are you just stupid? Vortex had a limit, and this little FR was pushing him past it. He didn't know how she was making ice like she was, and he didn't care. He was not going to take this kind of attitude from an ungrateful little SHT like her. He shoved her claw off of his chest and ripped the frost off with a snarl. Do not start this, Luna. You don't want this F fight. There you F go, again, assuming SHT about me, who you don't F know. She glared up at him while the cold, white ethereal energy continued to gather around her claws. Let me give you a rundown of my F month, Vortex. Outside of him being thrown into the Elysium pit by F Lucifer, I had to watch my boyfriend get shot in the head and through the F chest by an F sniper, help him survive that, and then kill that would-be hunter. That was just last F week. Shot twice. He was only shot once, he snapped. No, he F wasn't, and don't tell me what the F I saw. I was F there. I saw him get shot twice. She snapped and cut her hand across the air, which made him back up. He did some bullshit that made it all out to be a F illusion, but I saw his chest F explode. It was like that stupid F arm trick he pulled on Friday. And on that wonderful F note 2 F days ago, I watched him fight with a F optional handicap against 3 other psychopaths that survived Elysium. He had to get F surgery then because his dumb butt got impaled in the side by a F Carmine crafted angelic trident. Not a spear, AF trident. Who the actual F uses a trident? Well, he had a point. Vortex couldn't think of anyone that used a trident. He'd been in a lot of street fights, both in his time as a bodyguard and in his younger years. He saw an imp get killed by another imp with a can of PP Classic shoved into the dome once, but never had he seen a trident used in a fight. He crossed his arms, scowl still in place as the little beach continued. When he finally beat the champion, I thought SHT would calm the F down. But no, this is what I get for being optimistic, because why the F would it calm down? She let out a mirthless laugh and scrubbed at her face. Okay, SHT, this was officially an emotional dump and Vortex didn't know how to handle it from someone that wasn't V or B. She had her snarl back up before he could get another word in. My stupid father, who had been threatened by your girlfriend the night before, went and got so shit-faced I had to take him home to our apartment to make sure he didn't kill himself. While I was watching a drunk imp puke his guts out on our living room floor, my boyfriend went and got himself stabbed so badly he needed more surgery to make sure it healed right. So you tell me, but do I not want this fight? Ice shot up and covered her claws as she snarled and held them at the ready. Or do you not want it? All right, you've made your point. Vortex growled back at her while he forced his hackles to fall and his tensed muscles to relax. He was not fighting this weird hound while she was this unstable. Regardless of it being B's house or not, fighting someone capable of freezing him and cutting him up. Not on his list of things to do today. He'll check back in with B, make sure Ozzy goes over a game plan with her, and then go rip a few stags apart or something. The sooner B got this stupid threesome over with. He held his hands up and tilted his head to expose some of his throat. Just tell him we need to talk. Tomorrow. No SHT, he growled back. She glared at him for another minute before she flicked her claws down so that the ice attached to them would melt before it splattered to the carpet in puddles of water, which, admittedly, wasn't the worst thing that had been spilt on the carpet, and then turned around to storm back into the bedroom Sweet B set her brother up in. The door slammed behind her and he huffed out a breath before he turned and walked away. The F is with B attracting the F'n freaks. Who the F does that butt think he is? He thinks he's the top F'n dog around here, just because he's hot or something. He's just the latest F toy model, like me. Luna huffed as she crawled back onto the bed and pulled her boyfriend back into her arms. He was surprisingly limp when he was asleep and such a heavy sleeper that she could practically get away with doing anything to him so long as it didn't really jar him. She stroked a claw through his mane and lowered her head to nuzzle against his. The SHT I do for you, doof. She sighed. He snorted and scented the air before his arms wrapped around her again. Sweoline loon don't kick us baby frog. He muttered incoherently. Luna smiled softly and kissed his head before she stroked his wonderfully soft mane again. Morbid thoughts and irritants dashed aside as she snuggled onto his bed and held him close, his even breaths broken only by sporadic vocal glimpses into his strange dreams. She didn't mind the idea of sharing him in sec, of having a threesome, but Naruto was her doof. She dared anyone to try and take him from her. How'd it go? B asked as she looked up from the cauldron she was working at. Ozzy had to deal with some business matters, but promised to get back to her as soon as he could to help with her gluttony issue. The very issue she had to distract herself from, which was so much easier said than done, and she did so by making a new Beals mix. This latest batch had a unique spin to it that she thought might help her branch out to other avenues of commerce. Babe. He walked over to her and put his arm over her shoulders. What do you know about the girl, Luna? She's a shelter pup from Pride, has a mediocre hound dad imp that runs his own business, where she works as a secretary. Also dating my baby bro, and he's head over heels for her. B said as she welcomed her boyfriend back at her side with her two left arms hugging him. He hugged her back, huh? Was his chest wet? Weird. Maybe he stopped to hop in the shower. Who knows? B had fallen into the zone while trying to distract herself from the whole fiasco she caused. She held her stirring stick up to his mouth. Taste test? We need to herk, babe. Vortex coughed after the spoon was jammed into his mouth. She couldn't help herself. If this batch was going to work, she needed functional taste buds at her disposal that could taste past her honey. She pulled the stick out after scrubbing it around his mouth and he coughed. B. Babe, we've talked about this. Yeah, but it's not supposed to be lube this time, or any other SXL applicant. Last time she did that, it was followed by a very unpleasant look at the dinner Tex ate the night before. Seafood from envy was not meant to be seen or eaten twice. B. Weenie. Vortex stopped to smack his lips and scrunched his muzzle in disgust as he gagged. What is the F in texture? B. Is this mint? Yep, it's Beals Breeze toothpaste. It's been on my to-do list for a while now. She shrugged at his incredulous stare. I felt inspired. Okay. He wiped his face and then at his tongue and grimaced. Ugh, SHT. Gonna have to get some meat or something later for sure. Minty though, yeah? Too minty. No, just F. I wasn't ready for it. He wiped the back of his mouth and spat off to the side. Definitely feels like my teeth are cleaner now. Good. Then maybe this SHT is finally done. B grinned and left her spoon back in the cauldron so it could sit. She'd package it up later. Her other two arms wrapped around her boyfriend and she nuzzled into his head. So, why were you asking about Pretty Pup? I thought you were going to have your talk with baby bro. He's apparently sleeping. Kind of surprised he didn't wake up. Tex muttered with a furrowed brow. Yeah, B snorted and a fond smile crossed her face. Baby bro sleeps like a effin' log, even outside his naps. Right anyway, the hound pulled away from her embrace with a frown. The girl, Luna, she can use ice magic. Really? Oh, is that why your chest is wet? B frowned. She wasn't thrilled that Pretty Pup attacked her boyfriend, but she didn't exactly have any ground to stand on at the moment. She circled him once, twice, and plucked a small bit of fur that had frost on it. She sniffed it a few times before she put it on her tongue. Yep, Tex's fur had his shampoo and musk on it. Ah, the cool, dry ice. Spicy ice? Oof, Pretty Pup was pissed when she made this. She swallowed and then looked her boyfriend in his good eye again. Was it, like, just a beam of ice or? It spread over me when she jabbed a claw into my chest. He grumbled and crossed his arms. That little beach is so effin' lucky, I don't want to trash your place. Yeah, I appreciate that you kept your head. Could be a frostbite curse. Wonder where she learned that. B tapped her chin and zipped over to her desk where a large file cabinet was. A drawer was pulled open and she started flipping through it. Let's see. Ergonomic study on Pride's PND. Economic report. Eugenic hypothesis on the origins of whoops that should have been shredded a few years ago. She popped the file into her mouth and swallowed it down. There we go, evidence erased. Back to the search. Edibles confiscated from street pups. Huh, I could have sworn this file was larger. Oh, well, Aha, here it is. Evaluations, health and genetics. Pride orphanage. Let's see, she's 20-something 89, 90s. Should have color-coded these bingo, double O's registration. She pulled the file out and set it on her desk, flipped it open and immediately groaned. Every other line was blacked out, including names, SXL orientations, suspected BRTH dates, and unique descriptors. There weren't even pictures on the file. F. What? I forgot how much of this SHT is classified to protect the PND puppies. You classified your own personal files? Vortex asked as he walked over to look at it over her shoulder. She pouted at him and looked back at the file. The hounds and I decided that we shouldn't keep the files in my personal safe anymore after the last time someone broke into it. Someone broke into your stuff? When? Her boyfriend asked before he sighed. It was during a party, wasn't it? She pouted harder and Vortex shook his head. B, what are we going to do with you? Cut me some slack, babe. Cerberus sniffed out the culprit and we got the files back. It was just some nobody that claimed he was hired to do the job. B huffed. Didn't know the client, never got that far. Little Shithiel killed himself with a bomb before he would squeal. A bomb? Vortex repeated incredulously. She grinned up at him and patted him on the cheek. It was like centuries ago, babe, relax. Russ, and I made it out all right. Had a bitchin' fursum after that, 2F. Their game was on point that night. What were we talking about? Before you started reminiscing about your ex? He smirked at her playfully and she winced. Vortex shrugged. Hey, it's part of the whole cuck experience, babe. While I'm not sold on the whole threesome thing, if I ever will be, being cucked by Cerberus, that I'll live through without complaint. Okay, so now B had an idea for way down the line, or at least until after she gets in on baby bro and pretty pups threesome sht. She was just about to forget about that for a second. B shot up to her feet and her ears went straight as she beamed. Not only did she remember why she got the file out of the cabinet, but she had an idea how to get the information she wanted. I'll ring bell and get pretty pup's medical records. What? He blinked. Baby bro took pretty pup to the hospital a while back, after their first date, and they used our insurance to get her in fast. I can call Belfegor up to get deeds from her. I'll just say it's a sin thing. She'll let me see it, I think. Don't you keep stealing drags from her? That's just details. B waved him off as she fired a text off to the sloth sin. Depending on whether Belle had her caffeine fix yet, she'd get a response either in 5 minutes or 5 years. Please let her get her fix. B tucked her phone away before she turned and cupped his cheeks before she kissed his nose. His tail wagged and she smiled at him. Hey, Vortex, thanks again for giving this a shot. Yeah, he smirked and tapped her nose. You know you're gonna have to eat me again, right? B's smile strained. Oh, the joys of compromise in a relationship. Naruto woke up in the middle of the night to a growling stomach that wasn't his. A loose grip around his head tightened for a moment and a gentle gnawing on his ear became apparent. Bleary blues blinked once, twice, and 3 times before they focused in the darkness. That wall wasn't familiar. Where was right? He was in his new room in the Elzebub Manor, with his girlfriend, after being solicited by his sister for a 3-way. Sleep seemed like a much better idea right now. He could just close his eyes and gurgle. Whimper whine. Nope, that was his loon's belly that was rumbling. He lifted himself out of her loose grip and gently twisted his ear out of her. Oh, nope, not happening gently. He looked around, grabbed a pillow, rubbed it at his neck until he was sure it had enough of his scent on it, and then tossed it at the door. It landed with a thump and he focused on it. Kawarimi no jutsu. Poof! Naruto landed on his hands and knees with a grunt. He looked back at the bed, where Luna lay, the pillow he scented now in her jaws. Lips pursed, he held his breath as she sniffed, huffed and gnawed on the pillow. Another sad whine came from her, but she accepted the weak substitution for what it was and hugged the pillow in his place. That was a lucky pillow. Focus, get her food. He shook himself out of it and carefully snuck out of the bedroom. He arched his brow when he noticed there wasn't a party going on. His stomach churned uncomfortably. He was such an butt to be. But what she'd said to him was ... It was a lot to take in. He was used to her dumping thoughts out whenever she could. Regardless of the content of said thoughts, the horrors of her praise for shirtless Satan must never be repeated but straight-up solicitation. For him? The F is my life anymore? He wondered quietly with a sardonic chuckle. He descended the stairs to the first floor and made his way to the kitchen. He cracked the fridge open once he got there and dug around for a minute. Party platter, milk, party platter, eggs, party platter, stag skewers. He snagged a few of those and set them on a plate for Luna. Party platter. Soda out the F in wazoo and... Oh, F yeah, she made more purple stuff. Good B. Naruto grinned and grabbed a liter-sized bottle of the blurpleberry-flavored Beelzejuice drink to take with him. That joined the plate for his girl back in his room. His tail whipped about as he grabbed a few uncooked, uncured sausage links, various vegetables, salami, ham, a couple of slices of cheese, all of the condiments, and a white wrapped loaf of bread. He stood up and shut the fridge with his foot before he set the items on the counter. He grabbed the wrapped loaf and checked the paper. No giant bee or doodle of the bug in question. Score. He ripped the package open and sliced the loaf vertically before he began to pile the gathered food on. Some of this, a bit of that, and voila! He stepped away from his creation and admired it with a wriggling tail behind him. What was basically the ultimate supreme sandwich on an entire loaf of bread sat before him. He licked his chops and rubbed his hands together. An Uzumaki midnight sandwich for 1. And a mess for you to clean up by 2. Unholy, Naruto jumped and whirled around to glare at the surprise speaker. Turned out to be Vortex, the giant sneaky F, skulking around like he was the ninja in this place. That just irritated the fox fiend on principle. Rotten zombie Christ, but, make a sound, Surprised you made a sandwich and not your noodle SHT. The hellhound hummed. 1. I don't eat the noodles all the time. Just most of the time. I have to SWCH it up. He huffed. Ramen daily was a yes, obviously, but ramen 24/7? Also a yes, but he knew that to truly appreciate the glory that was ramen he had to eat other things. So, yeah, he made a sandwich rather than ramen. He huffed before he turned to his sandwich and scarfed it down. It didn't even last 2 seconds. He gulped and started cleaning up before he glanced back at Vortex, who was staring at him. That was disgusting. Rich, coming from you, Vortex. He snorted as he wiped down a knife. A soft whiff had him stop and stare incredulously at the hound. His vibes reeked of disgust and lust. Were they doing more of that Vor SHT? Fair. Very fair. That's a yes gross. And that comes from the Duke of Gluttony. Vortex, mercifully unaware of Naruto's thoughts, walked over to the fridge and pulled out a classic Beelzejuice bottle. He reached for one of the stag skewers and Naruto growled at him. All right, I won't touch your venison. Surprised you're just leaving those there instead of eating them, too. It's for Luna. He huffed as he gathered the used condiments and put them away. A sharp, spicy tang poisoned the air, and the fox fiend froze as he put the ketchup back in the door. He shook it off and closed the fridge before he looked at his sister's boyfriend. That was staring at him. Did you need something else? Your sister told me about what happened. Oh, good, you're still together. I thought you went and did something stupid like broke up with her. He huffed and grabbed his drink and Luna's food. Yeah, I don't know where she came up with that. She wants to have a THRSM with you and your girl. Vortex said way too casually. Naruto set the plate of Luna's food back down and faced the hound. Did he get shorter? Was he hunching? They were at eye level. Effin' weird. Yeah, so she said. He grumbled as his eyes narrowed. What, are you planning to just watch or something? Actually hoping to be in another room. What the actual F was happening right now? No offense, but you? Your girl? Not my type. Fair. He shrugged. He frowned and blinked a few times before he pointed at the hound. Wait, hold up, you're cool with us, F? F no. Vortex snapped. He huffed. It's something B wants, though, and we talked about it. Made an agreement. What the F happened this weekend? Naruto wondered aloud. He flicked the cap off of his purple stuff and took a swig. That sharp twist of 2 different berries and Beelzejuice always hit him just right. He leaned against the counter, his back to the temptation that was the stag skewers he set on a plate for Luna, and wiped his mouth. Then he rubbed his face. Okay, explain then. If you're not okay with her F-us, then why is she telling me she wants a THRSM? She's your sister, idiot. You figure it out. You've known her much F longer than I have. Super helpful, but... Vortex growled and rubbed his face before he took a swig of his own drink. Once he finished, he leaned against the kitchen island. Look, I don't like you, kid. You're immature, you're F-rude, and you don't take anything seriously. Thank you. Naruto toasted him with a smirk. Vortex scowled at him. That right there. That's why I don't F like you. You don't respect me. Because you don't respect me. F-face, Naruto scoffed. Look, I barely know you, Tex. F-in, you showed up one day in my life and B said you were dating. Did I like that? No, so I hit you with a FPSS-filled balloon. Never apologized for that SHT either. Vortex snarled. And I'm not F going to, Naruto growled. He set his drink down. He gestured between them. You and me, we're different. Biologically, ideologically, any other F-in way to put it. We're 2F different. I figured that out the F in second. He snapped his fingers for emphasis. You sized me up as an easy takedown when B introduced you. I did, Vortex blinked and leaned back. SHT, did I actually F do that? Yes, but every F hellhound does it, because that's how I present myself. Naruto crossed his arms. But you took it a step further. You saw how B acted with me and thought you could match that. You tried to parent me after the F in balloon prank got you. Newsflash, Vortex, you're not my dad. You're not my brother. You're not my family. You're just the PP that's F my sister. You want to watch how you phrase that? The hound growled and Naruto scoffed. It's like it's in one ear and out the other with you. You half-blind F-tard. I'll repeat myself, you're not family. I don't care if I hurt your effin' feelings. There's no other way for me to put it that doesn't get my point across. He rubbed his face and sighed. It was too late for this talk, and his girlfriend needed to eat some food before she ate a pillow. Look, you told me a while ago that the second she stops caring about me or puts me to the curb that you're coming for me, right? Your words. Yeah. And I effin' meant it, too. Good. Now, I never said it before because I didn't think I needed to after the balloon caught you off guard, but I guess I'll say it now. Naruto snarled as he stepped up to feign a finger jab into Tex's chest and instead took hold of his neck in his claws. SHT. When did they get to be the same height? Did he grow again? He hoped he didn't grow out of his clothes, and glared into his eyes. The hound didn't struggle, didn't smell even the slightest bit afraid or even pissed off. That was the part of Vortex that Naruto could respect. Shame he didn't show it to be. If you break B's heart, I'll snap your effin' neck, no hesitation. You might not even be out the effin' door when it happens, or maybe you'll be on the can taking a SHT2 rings up, 5 years later. You will not see me coming, but you'll know why it happened. And that's no warning, but it's effin' promise. Are we clear on that? Crystal. Fantastic. Naruto released him and backed off. He grabbed his drink and took another swig. You feel better knowing that now? Yes? The hound furrowed his brow as he looked at his beer and rubbed his neck. He took a drink and chuckled. A lot, actually. About a lot of things. Well, whoop-de-effin' do for you. He snorted and leaned back against the counter. Now that I've cleared the air for you, maybe you can return the favor? How? No, why is B telling me to my face that she wants a threesome with me and my girlfriend? That is a question you need to ask her, and you need to really listen when you ask her, Vortex said. The fox fiend growled, but accepted the advice for what it was. The hellhound finished off his beer and tossed the bottle in the trash. Then he drummed his hands on the island countertop. His good eye stared down at his claws. Not your father or brother, huh? No respect. And we've known each other 6 years. No. We've tolerated it for B's benefit. That's not how respect is earned in either way. Naruto grabbed the plate he made for Luna and started to leave. He stopped at the edge of the island, opposite the hellhound. If it's any consolation, I don't hate you, Tex. I may not respect you, but I don't hate you. Naruto. Huh, that's the first time the butt ever called him his name. Naruto looked him in the eye. He crossed his arms. About your girlfriend. Did she ever tell you anything about her time in the orphanage? Who dropped her off? What it was like there? Go get eaten, Vortex. Naruto growled. He left the kitchen with a lash in his tail. A torrent of angry thoughts now in his mind. Why the F would he ask about Luna's past? Who the F does that? Prick. He shook thoughts of that hellhound out of his head as he walked back into his bedroom. The door shut with a click and he checked on Luna. The pillow he'd swapped out with was extremely damp, but not eaten. Yet. Gurgle. Whimper whine. Ah, Loon. He mumbled and walked over to the bed. He set his drink down and crawled onto the mattress before he reached out to jostle his girlfriend's shoulder while he held the plate of food behind him. Luna. Nafa if, she pulled the pillow out of her mouth with a grimace. What the F, Naruto? What are you doing? What effin' time is it? midnight. Naruto whispered. He cupped her chin and brought his nose down to hers. A relatively quick boop was followed by a sweet embrace before he broke away and held the plate out. You need to take better care of yourself, Loon. I effin' love you, Naruto. She whispered back as she took the plate and started to dig in. His tail wriggled as he lay beside her and watched her eat. She looked at him from the corner of her eye and her ears folded back. Why are you watching me eat? 'Cause I love you. He smirked and enjoyed the sweet vibes that his blunt honesty earned him. Her tail did its cute little tip wag while she averted her eyes and hunched in on herself to hide her smile. Doof. You're doof. He leaned in and kissed her cheek. Eat up, babe. So good. You didn't happen to bring a drink with you, did you? He rolled over and grabbed his bottle of purple stuff before he presented it to her. She took it and looked it over with a furrow of her brow. "Why is it called purple stuff?" she asked before she sniffed it and started to chug. "Because of don't drink the whole thing." He huffed around a smirk and took the bottle from her. She whined and he squinted at her before he gave it back. "Do you not know the GG?" "What GG?" "See near and don't spill it. That SHT stains fur for days," Naruto warned as he pulled his phone out and opened the VTube app. Luna scooted up next to him, and they spent the early part of the morning watching some of his favorite comedy skits together. B moaned into the embrace she shared with the speckled hound that was on one of her guest beds. "Yes, F, yes, yes, yes. She's wanted to get some release for so F long." The three-headed idiot, as she called her partner of almost 2 millennia, gave her the go-ahead for a free F since his current patrol was taking a few days longer than expected. She straddled the happy hound that she cornered at her party last night and ran her hands over his chest. So effin' broad and muscled. F he was high as a kite and just stupid enough not to recognize who she was when she greeted him the hour before. A perfect free pass who wouldn't even remember anything. Cerberus wouldn't even have to waste a day to hunt him down. She could just F him and kick him out, then get back to the main event once they got back from their patrol of Hell's alcoves. SHT, and this idiot's PP was decent sized. 2 knot might be a shower though, but she can deal with. A series of padding feet ran down the hallway outside the door. B, where are you? I need your help, B. No, God F damn it, B groaned and felt her heated core cool. Of all the times for baby bro to actually come to her when he needed her help with something F, there goes her mood. Was that, like, a kid? The dumb, coked-up himbo hound with pretty spots asked. His claws kneaded into her butt while his dilated eyes looked up at her. That's super F in KNKY, babe. That's my baby bro, she growled at him. Her lower hands reached down to the hands GRPNG her and pulled them off. They immediately went back and she glared down at the idiot. Hey, dipshit, when the hands are pulled off, that means stop. What? Nah, come on, it'll be fun. Listen, the kid can join in, I don't mind. I know this guy in Lust. Gets M real young from the orphanage there and hot F. Does he train 'em right? SHT, I love the way they wrap their cute little muzzles around my koguuk. One of her hands wrapped around his tongue and started to pull. She glared into his coked-out eyes while he started to whine until he stopped. Permanently. Damn it, this F idiot just ruined her F morning with that revelation of his darkest kinks. She was all for the freedom of indulgence until it either led to self-destruction or real heinous SHT, like the sick F that tried to use her or Aussie to justify any underage CRP from happening. Given that she now had a minor in the house, oh, F, right, baby bro. But body well, she had to redecorate this room anyway. A new bed was pocket change. Gulp. Burp. Up here, baby bro, B called as she walked out of the room, wiping at her muzzle with some leftover sheet. From around the corner, baby bro appeared and, weird, his fur looked darker than normal. What did he get into? Not to mention his vibes were. B's pupils constricted as she darted at him and snatched him out of the way of the foaming Helby's infected hound that was inches behind him with its mouth open wide. It, and 4 more behind it, ran past with yips, barks, yowls and howls. She looked around the main hall below her. There was a small group eating some other unconscious partiers that didn't get out of her house F. How did she miss a hound with a Helby's infection that far in its stages? Again? Ugh, she'd have to look into it after she dealt with it. Cerberus was never going to let her live this down. B looked at the trembling fox fiend in her arms and pushed her nose to his neck. Fear, shame, anger. The first one made sense, but the other 2? What the F was that about? Are you okay, Senting? There was infected BLD all over his coat, but she didn't smell any of his. Baby bro, you didn't get bit, did you? I'm fine. I slipped a lot, damn it. He scrunched his eyes shut and clung to her neck. He whined and whimpered as his ears flattened. I'm better than that. I can be faster than that. They got them and I couldn't. I couldn't stop it. I can't save anyone. Hey, calm down, baby bro. It's okay. I've got you. B nuzzled his head. So long as he didn't ingest any of the BLD, there wasn't an issue for him. Now she just had to get him to calm down. I've got you. B, but I couldn't save them. Baby bro, you're a pup. I'm 80, he scrunched his brow as he often did whenever he tried to get his age right. That was becoming a concerningly more common occurrence. He scowled. I'm 6. A pup, she reiterated with a smirk. He grumbled at her teasing, as his goofy big ears went flat again so effin' cute, and she kissed his cheek. His vibes gained a hint of embarrassment, shyness, and worst of all that same small bit of confusion he got whenever she showed him affection. The fear, anger, and disappointment dwindled away. That was better than nothing. She smiled and knocked on the bottom of his chin with a gentle knuckle. Hey, but you tried to help, right? It's not your fault they overpowered you. And you outran them, too, yeah? Yeah. See? You'll be saving hounds from their own in stupidity in no time. She buzzed into his ear, and he laughed, and were his happy vibes delicious. They still had a sour tinge to them, but they were delicious all the same. She cooed into his ear and hugged him tight. My little hero baby bro. Ugh, stop calling me that, B. I'm always calling you that. You could look like a gray all-hound at death's door, and I'll still call you that. Rather than dwell on his yet determined life expectancy, she wasn't worried about it. It only absolutely terrified her that Belle couldn't give an estimate since his physiology was so different from the average hound. She nuzzled him again and grinned at his frustrated giggle. Because that's what you are, my baby bro. Are we gonna stop the zombie wolves or? They're not zombies, how do you even? Did you and Cerberus have another horror movie marathon last month? The last time that happened she was on nightmare duty for a week, and he still hadn't shaken the weird fixation he had on ghosts. She was thinking about getting a therapist or specialist involved, after Ozzy brought it up. Ooh look, there's a pack over there that's got someone cornered. I don't think they're bit. We should help them. This isn't over, baby bro, she yelped when he started to scramble out of her grasp and jumped towards the ground. She dove and snatched him from the air and growled at him. You little effer, don't jump out of my hands while we're this high up. But I can make it. He pointed at a blue-furred hellhound beach that was scrambling up a pillar away from a Helby's pack. And she's running out of pillar. B huffed and growled at his accurate take on the situation. This little menace was such a pain in the butt sometimes. If this was motherhood was like, then B was ecstatic that sin reproductivity was an all-time low possibility. Hey, but that blue-dyed hound scared out of her mind. Kind of cute, B was so glad she didn't discriminate based on body size. B. Sorry, right, let's get her. Climb on my back, baby bro. An amazing aroma roused B from her slumber that morning. She followed it in a half-dazed state out of bed, practically floating down the hall after the heavenly scent, and then froze where she stood in the entrance to her kitchen. Baby bro's clones were everywhere. They were in costume at various stations, making different foods. Hotcakes, common through, move. Which table wanted the sunny side up? Babidi boopy, bingidity bapbi. Don't you take that tone of voice with me. Hey, do we put the ham with their hash browns, or do we put the spam with hash browns? Yes. The F is the waffle mix? F, are we out of waffle mix? Running low on cereal and milk, too. The kid at table 12 keeps eating our crayons, that's my job. While sitting at the island with her back to B, watching the chaos unfold with her phone at the ready and a small smile on her face was Pretty Pup. Her tail wagged gently, and she had a cup of hot coffee in front of her. Beside her, totally ignoring the nonsense, baby bro sat and read a newspaper. With glasses. Glasses that she was pretty sure he didn't need. Dreadful, simply dreadful. Baby bro turned a page and made a haughty huff. Ugh, awful. Just awful. Another page turned and his ears perked up. Huh, listen to this, Lou. Some idiot went and let an Oni skull fornicate a minotaur on that live television program. The expected BRTH rates have risen across the rings thanks to the record viewing. You're having too much fun with this, doof. Fun? Me? Perish the thought, Luna. Baby bro folded his paper and stuffed it, along with the fake glasses, into his mouth. He swallowed both down and smirked at the cute hound when she shook her head, before he covered her phone's camera, lowered it and leaned over to wrap his arm around her shoulders so he could embrace her cheek. SHT, those were really sweet vibes. Pretty Pup let out a happy whine and leaned into the affectionate gesture, before he stopped and muttered into her ear. "Don't challenge me to amuse people, it's my only secret skill." "You're such a doof." She snorted and shoved him back. He smirked and pulled her further into a hug, even as she continued to push at his face, and snorted a laugh when he kept nipping and kissing into her neck. "Stop, Naruto, you're ruining the video, damn it, do of." Wow, her pitch got high. "Hey, I'll have you know that I resemble that remark." "Common through, excuse me, B." A clone squeezed by her with a tray of uncooked meats over his head. He stopped and looked at her. SHT, she should have just backed out a while ago. She gave a weak smile and wave. The clone and his meat disappeared with a cloud of smoke. The rest of the staff and their various foods did the same. How'd he replicate the smell of all that good food? Oh, there were dishes in the sink. She missed the actual breakfast then, which left her alone with Baby Bro and Pretty Pup, both of whom were now staring at her, watching her. SHT. "So, that smelled good." B grinned, a terribly weaker smile than the one she gave to the clone. Butt riding, pawn tea-ties, she wasn't ready to have this conversation. Morning? B. Baby Bro greeted her with a nod. He gave Pretty Pup another embrace on the cheek. She accepted it, then turned and gave him a smaller one full on. Ugh, that was so cute, and it really didn't help the weird gluttony-associated vibe she didn't like that was trying to make itself known. "Be back in a bit, Loon. Have fun," she muttered and turned her attention back to her coffee and her phone. Baby Bro got up from the kitchen island and walked towards her. He looked her in the eye and nodded at the hall. B felt her shoulders sag as she followed him. He led her far from the kitchen to the back patio around the far side of the house. Outside, was it a precaution? Probably. He led her over to the hand-crafted couch swing she had installed some time ago when he started to show a preference to lounging outside during parties. They sat in a very awkward silence. B hated it, and his vibes told her how much he didn't like it either. They'd not had a silence between them this bad since after he learned about her and Cerberus' separation. I want to apologize." He cut her off. He sat forward and put his elbows on his knees while his hands interlocked between his legs. He stared out at the forests of her ring. "For how I reacted yesterday. I was overwhelmed by what you said and the SHT I dealt with yesterday and the day before. I said things that, they were just mean. Baby Bro, you know I forgive you for that, right? I said I want to apologize. Not that I am." He glanced at her from the corner of his eyes. His ears folded back. "Hello?" That was a bit of interest that popped up for a second there. Did that mean no? B, don't get too excited. And he looked away. "Not yet. Not until you explain what the F that was about." "Okay? Simple enough. Just explain it like she did to Tex, without the word vomit, and the arguing. Please let her avoid the arguing." I was pretty straightforward. B wanted to smack herself. That was not how she explained it to Vortex. His vibes were getting spicy and his hackles were rising. "Come on, Beelzebub, do better. I want to have a THRSM with you and Pretty Pup because, Baby Bro Naruto, you beat me." "That's it." He frowned and continued to not look at her. He ran his hands over his face. "Okay, well, that explains me, but what about Luna?" "No, that's not it." She felt her ears fall. She didn't want him to think this was just a power thing. She looked down at her hands as they started to fidget. "You know that most sins, the concepts, not us, are derived from the first, pride. They're all connected in a way, and most branched from gluttony. Greed, lust, and sloth, wrath and envy, like gluttony, are derivatives of pride." He nodded and perched his chin on his intertwined hands. "I remember the lesson." "Then you know that that gluttons, are prone to showing more than just our hunger. Carnal, literal or metaphorical." She offered, and he hummed an affirmative. She had to get out of repeating things he knew. Time to revisit some old wounds. This wasn't going to be fun. "Do you remember JJ?" He sat upright and looked at her. His neutral, controlled vibes shifted through indignant, furious, hurt, bittersweet, fear and sorrow in a cycle, and she resisted the urge to gather him in a hug. JJ was a sore topic for both of them, and they had different reasons for it, and she implored for something to give her a break here. How could you even? Of course I do. What does JJ have to do with this? She was, in part your first exposure to to what Ozzy and I call gluttony. B explained with a small smile. He furrowed his brow, and she held a hand up almost dismissively. TL doctor, it's when I get the hots for someone really bad. And I'm talking, like, really bad. So bad, I don't even think about parties or making Beelzejuice or even my current partner unless someone else brings it up. Oh. He blinked and his ears lit up. Hey, a healthy hint of lust there. That's a good sign. Focused. B. Oh, so whenever you were zoning out during vibe lessons back then? Usually I was thinking about her, yeah. B admitted with a nod. He nodded and crossed his arms as his vibes settled back to their usual, simmering salty sweet state. She looked out at the woods for a moment and smiled slightly as she thought about her old flame, the fun they had, the tears they shared, the slightly torn void she left in both her and her baby bro's dark hearts. She helped me understand a lot about it. I used to think it was just a need, a deep need for like a thirst that I needed to quench, and her explosive spray was the TMI. Right? She closed her eyes. Focus. Focus, focus, focus. Sorry, baby bro, I know that what she did to you can't be forgiven easily, and I should have just listened when Ozzy tried to tell me about her. Hey, he reached out and held her shoulder. That was like 200 years ago, B. I don't like thinking about it, but she's already been dead for so long. There's no reason for me to keep that grudge going. She almost missed the swift, spicy flare of sheer hate that his vibes were dominated by. It was an older, more sour than hot spice that she almost didn't recognize, and it had a hint of bitter sorrow to it. That was an older betrayal. Not the same flavors he had that she attributed to JJ's drunken mistake. It reminded her of the time he talked about the scar on his chest. B, you were saying something about gluttony? Gluttony, she corrected him. It's partially why I blinded myself to. Why I didn't want to believe that she did that to you. You stopped her. He squeezed her shoulder and smiled softly. Gratitude, relief, a sweet amount of his familial love, protect, care, support filled her nose. She smiled back at him and let her wings flutter as he pulled her into a sidelong hug. She didn't go through with whatever that was about, and you got me, right? Right. Her arms slipped around him from behind. I got you. Okay. He rumbled and she buzzed. His vibes filtered down to his natural salty sweet state of calm. He huffed in the air around them. So, gluttony. It's like a build-up of, I'm guessing, unquenched lust. Yes, she sighed in relief and rested her head against his shoulder. It's like edging in reverse, like I don't start anything remotely related to it. And then I think of something that's involved with it, and my whole power and body wants the release so effing bad. Everything and anything related to it helps, but unless I get to the source, it doesn't go away, and everything about me starts to get affected. From my work and responsibilities to how I act. Like, say, a matriarch stare aimed at my girlfriend, he hedged and she winced. There was a sharp spice of irritation and anger in his growl, but she got it. Why, yeah. So, why tell me you want to go for a threesome at all? Why not just, I don't know, ask for a one-nighter? He furrowed his brow as his vibes muddled with all sorts of vibes that told her he didn't like the idea much. She squeezed him in her half-hug. Because, like you, I don't like the idea of cheating on my hound or forcing him to sit out while I get my freak on with someone else. Kind of F myself out of a good thing with that before. She joked and he chuckled. Wordplay was always fun, and hey, he seemed to be doing better talking about that breakup. And I didn't think you'd like the idea of Vortex having a night with Pretty Pup. Not exactly keen on him having anything with her, let alone a F-night, honestly. He growled in a way that made B's ears tingle. The thick, salty, spicy vibes that filled the air lingered for only a moment. So, threesome, then? But you said? He agreed to sit out for this one. We talked about it. I'd be happier if he could come around to really understand why I need this, and be okay with it, but... B sighed. He's a hellhound. They're pretty base. No SHT, he huffed. His vibes mingled into a confused blurb. The gluttony compels you, huh? That's the only reason. No, it's just a big part of it. B rubbed her cheek into his shoulder. I want you and Pretty Pup to have a good first threesome experience. Yeah, it's not what you'd normally expect from a sister, but I don't want you to have the same issues I've had with multiple partners. And plus, I wasn't kidding, baby bro. All those times I offered a romp in the sheets? You grew up into a real effing catch. And your PP? If it's bigger than it was in the pic you gave me like I think it is, even if we were BLD, I'd be offering you a taste of my honeypot. Ah, thanks. NCST, is that weird to you, huh? Not really. You're B. Baby bro hugged her tighter and rubbed the bottom of his chin into her head. A gentle rumble resonated from his throat and chest. His sweet vibes, the ones he aimed at her when he was feeling cuddly when he was younger, filled her tank and made her moist. That moist feeling increased when he planted an embrace on her head. Her baby bro was too sweet sometimes. I love you. You're my big sis, and nothing will ever change that. I would do anything to help you. Except me, right? I didn't say that, I need it to mean something, you know? She pulled away from him and gave him a look. What the F was he talking about? Like lovemaking? Because that was reserved for Vortex, or Cerberus and others like them. Her partners. Not that she wouldn't take baby bro as one maybe later down the line. But right now she was happy with Vortex and reserved that for him. Like, if you were just asking me for a F just because, then I'd say no. But this sounds like it has become a serious issue. I mean, yeah, you're not wrong. She laughed mirthlessly and sighed. Tex and I already fought about it. Seriously? Baby bro asked, blue eyes wide. He leaned back in the swing and looked up. Huh, good for him. Wah baby bro, she pulled away and socked him in his side. He chuckled at the blow and scooted away before she could follow through, not that she planned to. What? Vortex doesn't stand up to you enough, not like Cerberus or JJ did. He pursed his lips and his vibes turned a smidge playful, if dark. Granted, I would hope he doesn't try to abduct me in a drunken attempt to impress you or something. I thought you said you forgave JJ? I said I don't feel the need to hold a grudge, not that I forgave her. He countered with a frown as he crossed his leg and leaned on the swing couch. His tail, long orange bottle brush that he finally grew into, whipped about behind him for a second. I just wish I could have found out why she did it. What the end goal was. She wanted you. She loved me so much she wanted to be me, but when she realized she couldn't do that, couldn't take my spot as a sin, she wanted to take you. B thought with a small growl. JJ was a complicated hound, obsessed to the point past idolation, a party girl through and through, and a really fun role in the sack. Again, though, she was obsessed with B and her baby bro to a degree. But she was taken care of. Gone. Dead. Part of B mourned her, and part was happy to see her go. JJ was appealing like a rose, but she had a lot of hidden thorns. B? His hand was back on her shoulder and his vibes soured with concern, regret, and a smidge of anger that was directed inwards. She looked up at his furrowed brow. His nostrils flared awe, he was checking her vibes. She really did raise him right and his eyes flicked between hers. You okay? Yeah, baby bro, I'm good. She sighed and smiled at him. His cute face, sweet vibes, and what she knew was a long strong, she felt her wings twitch. What were we talking about? Why you wanted a threesome with me and my girlfriend. And, I mean, it's going to be not weird, but definitely odd. He shrugged as he leaned back, hand now draped on the back of the couch. Right, that's what they were. Wait, did he just agree to it? B felt her eyes go wide and her wings buzz, while her baby bro kept his burning ears folded back and his gaze back at the foliage around their home. Just, try to keep it from getting too weird. And, about last night. I'm sorry. Baby bro, F that, it's whatever. She was in his lap and her hands on his shoulders, her nose inches from his as she stared him in the eye. Are you saying we're gonna? I'm saying now that I know why, I'm more willing to. We need to talk to Loon first B. He yelped as she hauled him from the bench back into their manor. Baby bro, we've got no time to waste. Come on, come on, come on. Oh, B, that's my arm. I've only got 2 of those. No you don't, you have spares. I've seen them. The F I do. Shadows were a precarious and malleable thing. Like grains of sand, they were useless when alone, but when there was little light and the nightmares were free to creep in, well, pretty self-explanatory all things considered. It was after the Uchiha's blunder that he went back to the leaf, to help them prepare for the wrath of that creature, that darkness incarnate. It was after the first wave of evil came that he was forced into his slumber. He was the first to awaken in the place now called Hell, and like any natural-born shinobi, he used that to his advantage. He traded, for the most part, his sand for shadows, his bane and curse gone and lost when the slumber took them, and he mourned it like he mourned his siblings, like he mourned his friends, like he mourned Uzumaki Naruto. But that was then. Mephistophiles had recovered from that trifling time and soon rose through the ranks of the underworld and then hell as a force to be reckoned with. Very few dared to cross his path, and fewer still dared challenge him. Those that did often didn't make it to the next cycle, if not the next hour. Lucifer was one of the few to surprise him, and true to his name, the morning star brought his light. A simple thing to counter this manifestation of God's light, this mirror of belief. He had seen true light, oh yes. Mephistopheles knew how bright a star could burn. He also knew that when it was snuffed out, the shadows were stronger. That was Lucifer's failure, ill-prepared, unaccepting of critique, and so full of hubris it bled from him. It wasn't an easy fight, but it wasn't Mephistopheles' most difficult battle. Not even by a long shot. No, that may very well be the clash he sought today. The king of magic strolled through the alcoves of hell until he came across a cavern where faint arguing could be heard. He smiled and strolled in. The argument ceased at the hiss of the leader, and a steady growl began to quake the very foundations of the underworld. Cerberus. Mephistopheles. The leftmost head, from his position, snarled. You aren't welcome here anymore. The rightmost head growled. The center narrowed his good eye, but remained quiet. The ancient demon smiled at them. How would you like your eye back, new and improved? Maybe even a way to split up your efforts, live separately for a short time. Free of charge, save a small, little favor. Cerberus rose from the simple seat he had set in front of a makeshift fire. The three heads growled and their hackles rose. He chuckled, he'd expected as much. No, very well. He dropped his cloak to the ground and rolled his neck from one side to the next. Then, shall we begin with fisticuffs, or shall we try a bit of name-calling? We're going to kill you for what you did. Oof, a united front. It was rare for the three heads to agree to something so swiftly. You'll have to be much more specific, Mephistopheles said with a wide smile as he rocked his hips from one side to the next. I've done so many things to so many people. Enough chit-chat. Let's just kill the BSTRD. Agreed. Yeah, I want a new chew toy. Boys, you'll make me blush. The red-headed demon chuckled as the fire started to dim. His eyes glowed bright green as the firelight disappeared. Hound of Hell snarled and threw themselves at him. He chuckled and disappeared into his ultimate shield. After all, his voice echoed in the darkness, there's more than enough of me to go around. VERYYYY went on a bit of a bender after that Friday night stream, so waking up in the drunk tank on Sunday morning wasn't a bit different than what she was used to. Still, she made her sobered-up phone call and spent a good few hours waiting, bored out of her mind and bemoaning the dressing down she was going to get from whoever picked her up. Of the many things she expected to see when she got out of the Wrath holding cell that morning, she didn't expect to find the lawyer bee picked out for her. A short Dalmatian-esque hound with large floppy spotted white ears that she kept behind her head with a clip. With her, eyes hidden by a pair of mirrored aviator sunglasses, was her bodyguard. The succubus pop star forced a smile. This dress down was going to SCK. Catty, hey, VERYYYY girl, how you doing? VERYYYY silently applauded her ability to keep from breaking a weird as F, in her modest opinion, hound taboo. The diminutive hound gave her an unimpressed look and adjusted her glasses. Miss Mayday. Ugh, don't surname her. That never leads anywhere well or fun. As your legal representative and advisor, I suggest it is best for your image and brand to avoid alcohol consumption for 1 to 2 days. Furthermore, Queen Bee would like to inform you that any gigs or events are on hold until the foreseeable future. SHT, was this bender that bad? VERYYYY winced. If B of all people was telling her to chill out, then she had a bad time. No, but she is certain the next one will be. And I concur with her on the matter. Of course you do. VERYYYY rolled her eyes. She pouted as she was led out by the two hounds and glanced at her bodyguard as he opened the door for them. Her brow furrowed. Didn't he? She'd ask him once they got in and seated. So, why are you here, Tex? I thought you took the week off. I did. We're stopping by the office to get your SHT. Then you're coming with me back to B's. She'd have come help, but something came up. He leaned back in his seat and slid his sunglasses back on. Don't wake me unless we get attacked. Well, someone's in a mood. Boss, drop it. All right. VERYYYY glanced at Caddy. Was he this bad when he picked you up? He was a tad more stressed. Caddy smirked for all of a second before she recomposed herself and adjusted her suit's matching pencil skirt. He's a bit more relaxed now. VERYYYY looked between the two hounds and arched a brow. Did be? Hai got permission for as many partners this week as Hai wanted. Both Caddy and Tex answered. A light thump had VERYYYY look at the shorter hound. Was her tail wagging? Were Tex's ears folded back? The F happened this weekend? It's a long F story. Tex rubbed his face. One that requires alcohol. So, basically I'm not hearing it, am I? VERYYYY asked her cute attorney. The little hound looked at her, then back to Tex, and finally down to her PDA. No. F typical. Being whisked away from her half-finished, home-brewed vanilla latte was not something Luna was thrilled about, and as soon as the word threesome escaped B's mouth in an excited squeal, she was even less thrilled. Oh, she was down to get freaky with her hot boyfriend and his equally hot sister, don't misunderstand. She was not excited to try and do so without a significant amount of caffeine in her system. Can't this wait until after lunch? She asked, a growl in her voice, as she was dumped on a large bed that smelt like her boyfriend, but not as coconutty and had almost too much violet in it. The room was lit in a low red light, with various cushions, pillows and blankets scattered about. B zipped in and out of the room, returning to drop a few things off on a bedside table. A few tubes of lube, a small LTHR box, and a Polaroid camera. Luna looked at her boyfriend, who had been dumped on the same bed beside her. Is she even listening to me? Probably not right now, no. He rolled onto his back, tucked his hands behind his head and closed his eyes. Totally ignoring the way his sister muttered to herself at rapid fire, gasped, and then darted out of the room again. The wriggler thwapped onto the bed in a steady, drawn-out beat. She kind of went all. Be the moment I said I was willing to do this. No, really, I couldn't tell. Luna huffed and crawled over to lay atop of him. It looked like the threesome was happening, which, again, she was down for. But now nerves were starting to come into play. She already had enough insecurities to fight back when it was just her and her boyfriend. She wasn't sure how she was going to react with a third in play. When it came time for him to F his sister, was she going to get possessive or... I can smell the bitter smoke from here, Loon. She looked up to find her boyfriend's big blue eyes locked on her. His arm curled over her shoulders and his muzzle dipped down to rub against hers. Thank F, he started to rumble. That always soothed her frazzled nerves. You're thinking too strong and whatever it's about is worrying you. I'm not worried, she grumbled. He snorted into her pierced ear and she bristled. That ear she didn't like being messed with. Accordingly, she snapped at his jaw. Watch it, doof. Not worried, huh? What's got you thinking so strong then? Fantasizing already? He pulled his muzzle back and surprised her with a quick, chaste embrace. These were the sort of things she loved about her boyfriend. Even after doing something dumb, he could catch her off guard with the sweetest of gestures. I'm just... Her ears folded back and she looked away. I'm nervous, all right? Performance anxiety. So alright folks, that's all for today. Stay tuned for part 12. Do subscribe, like and share for more such videos. Also check out the story and author BonesBoy15 on FANFICTIONnet. Press the bell icon to be notified first on release. See you in the next video. Till then, goodbye.